What's up, freak bitches, wherever you may be, however you may be watching? Thank you for giving us just a few minutes of your time. Now, finally, Miss Cora, the Dowager Countess herself, has gotten through all of the Marvel movies, so we're going to take this opportunity to give you our top 5. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than what we usually do. We're actually going to try to rank them. At least I think that's what you guys did. We're actually going to try to rank them. So we're going to 5 Marvel films that we have seen. And, hey, Max in the chat, what's going on, my buddy? That's my son, Max. How you doing? Getting a little bit of a late start. Had some baseball practice stuff going on today, but I'm here, and we're talking Marvel. So, I mean, where else do we start but with the Dowager Countess herself, Lady Cora? First off, what did you think of
first of all, you have to
the...
introduce Jeremy. You forgot to introduce
Jeremy. I did forget to introduce my hetero life mate, Jeremy. I'm sorry. It's been a busy day. I don't want to leave Jeremy. Jeremy, you take a minute to tell me whatever the hell you want to tell me. Oh, there's nothing now? Talk to your hand.
I don't want to talk now.
Jeremy's not going to be talking for a while now. Yeah, that's sad.
Nope. I won't even look at you during.
You won't even look at me during.
No.
Oh well. Now that I've achieved pissing Jeremy off, let's go into kind of the purpose of this whole thing. Now, like I said, Cora's been trying to take time as we've been talking about the events of WandaVision and the ongoing saga that is Falcon and Winter Soldier. Cora has been trying to catch up with the Marvel movies. She's seen a couple, but she was trying to go through bookend them, start to finish, to really understand what this universe is about. She did just recently finish that. Now,
less than 24 hours ago, I finished Endgame.
Yeah, so
it all makes sense now, doesn't it?
You know, before we get too deep into this, Cora, what is just kind of your overall impression of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we've gotten it up to this point?
I'm mad that I didn't see it sooner. It might be an overshare, but I was a little late to the party to have adult relations for the first time, and when I was the first time, my first thought in my head was, why did I wait so long? And it's exactly what I thought when I watched Endgame last night. I'm like, these movies have been around for years, and I've never why didn't I watch these? Why didn't I take the time? Endgame and is it Infinity War and then Endgame? They were really emotionally charged. They're not in my top 5, but I'm glad I watched them, and I would probably watch them again. Oh, holy shit! There's so much to unpack. I told Dan, I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch this like 2 more times to catch it all. Like even like that little moment when Doctor Strange puts his one finger up when he looks at Tony Stark. You know, it's like I almost missed that. There's so many things I'm sure I've missed. And the whole Thanos, who that fucker is like, oh my god, I've only got 2 people on a hit list that if I had a chance to kill him, I would. He's on it. Like if he was a real person, like, who the fuck do you think you are? You know? It's like, oh.
He's inevitable.
Yeah. And I like the joke. I think it's Ratchet, the raccoon.
Yeah,
Rocket.
Who makes a joke about Thanos's or the Thor, his chin looking like a ball sack. That cracked me up. That was great. And
speaking
yeah,
good.
No, it's okay.
Well, speaking of things, I'll say it now. Speaking of things you missed, I guess maybe someone probably heard me on the last stream. If you go back, you might actually hear me. Something else you missed, thankfully, you hadn't seen Endgame yet. And I was sitting there yelling about John Walker, and I was like, yeah, and I bet that fucker's not even worthy of Thor's hammer either. And you didn't even see that movie yet. And I was like, oh my god, I may have just ruined that right there.
No, you didn't. Because
thankfully you didn't even, because I'm like, oh, that is a fucking amazing moment.
I love that. But we'd already seen
yeah.
him in a previous movie or something
Well, he
else.
started the movie.
One other time he touched Thor's hammer besides these last 2 movies.
Well, yeah, there was that scene in the beginning
Civil
of Age
War?
of Ultron. No, it was Age of Ultron, where they're all after the party and they're trying to pick up the hammer.
Yes, it's on the table at Tony's house.
And it budges ever so slightly as kind of a bit of foreshadowing as to what we would eventually see in Endgame.
Okay.
And you see that look.
That's why Thor's like, I knew it.
Shit.
I thought it was fantastic. I actually had to ask Dan. I was like, okay, so he went back in time with all the stones. Why did he take Thor's hammer? He was putting it back in time. I thought Thor would have kept it. But I get they had to put everything back for the timelines. I absolutely loved the interaction that, what do we call them? Okay, so we use captions on movies here. when I
Yes.
watch something for the first time because you miss a lot of stuff. And the actual captions called Banner / Hulk in Endgame Smart Hulk. So that's his name after he merges the two bodies. I don't know. So when Smart Hulk has a conversation with I forget her name, Doctor Strange's guru, the bald woman.
Yeah,
That was
the
one of my
one.
that was one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie
That
because
was kind of cool.
Doctor Strange is on my list, spoiler, and so I loved that you got to see her again. And as soon as she said he gave it to you, gave it to him willingly. Oh well, here you go. And it's like holy shit. And she really is an ancient one who has all these visions. And the fact that she so nonchalantly goes, "Oh, you're 5 years too early. He's 20 blocks that way doing surgery." It's like, holy
It's like
shit.
she kind of knew, like, wait a minute.
Yes. And so I want to go back and watch Doctor Strange again after seeing that little scene, actually. But
I'm glad I didn't put that on my list. I almost did, so I'm glad you put it on.
I was really impressed with how the ending of Infinity War tied in with the beginning of Endgame, because I literally had a 20-minute break between the two movies. That was it.
You know how we do like the rest of us.
That's a marathon of watching, because Endgame alone is 3 hours long. I think, Infinity War was what, 2.5. That's
we
that's
literally spent the evening in front of the TV, and yeah, so it was seamless. It was really nice. It didn't feel jagged or like, well, what the fuck happened here? What the fuck happened there? And I think the hardest death scene to watch was Natasha, because as soon as they said where they were going and they're getting the Soul Stone, I fucking knew whoever is going to get the Soul Stone, one of them isn't coming back, because you've seen.
They didn't know that though.
Thanos and Gamora. Speaking of, that was the biggest disappointment in the movie. In the Gamora the Gamora from the past doesn't.
We still technically have her.
I know, but she doesn't have the memories of being on the Guardians of the Galaxy squad and falling in love.
Plot point for Guardians 3.
Yeah. Whole lot of setup.
And I love that Thor went with them. I love that Thor went with them because...
Yeah, because we gotta call it Asgardians of the Galaxy now.
Yeah, the Valkyrie, I forget what her name is. She really is a better leader than Thor. And I'm very curious with the Loki series if there's going to be a tie-in with Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy in that mini-series. Very curious.
We're going to find out because Thor's coming up. The Loki series is coming up. So we're going to find out.
So I was very impressed. It was all worth watching. There were some I would never watch again. I did not like Captain Marvel.
God, stop hating on Brie Larson.
It's not that. It just was really like a dry story. I mean, I'm glad I got to see some of the behind the scenes stuff about how S.H.I.E.L.D. got started and,
casually like one of the strongest fucking Avengers. But,
I loved seeing Monica as a child and how she, became what she did later on and why she, her mom is so important. Because her mom knew. That was it. But the story was dry. Like crackers, you need some soup with crackers. There was no fucking soup. But I don't think I would watch Iron Man 2 or 3 again. I love the first one.
That's fair.
And I had seen half of Ragnarok, but something happened. I don't remember. This was years ago. I don't know what happened, but we didn't finish it. And so when we went to watch it again for me to go through the sequence, I was like, well, I remember loving it, but then thinking it was silly. I laughed my ass off through the whole fucking thing. I wish Thor 1 and 2 were more like it, but I still love them in itself. And I cried when Thor got to spend time with his mom. And I'm tearing up now. Like, he was his mom, I mean, and she even told him, don't tell me, blah, blah, blah. And you go be you, and
I'm still worthy.
It just
that
was really wonderful.
There was a lot of really emotional scenes in those.
And when Tony with his dad Howard, my god!
Cool.
I mean, he's giving his own dad advice about parenting. Yeah. I mean, talk about talk about yeah, it just, so it was all wonderful, and I'm really glad. I would never have seen any of these if I hadn't started coming here with you guys and talking with you on your show, Frank.
Well,
Because I never would have watched WandaVision. So thank you.
After you got done watching Endgame, did you take my suggestion and go find some of those scenes of people in the theater as
No,
Captain
because
America?
the dog.
Yeah,
the dog.
if you get a chance, just go watch those. That's one of the reasons why I promote people still going to the theaters, because those moments like that cannot be had anywhere else.
And the portal scene was cool, but I don't think it was maybe as cool for me as it might be for you guys. I don't know what it was. I didn't know what it was till after the fact, but I was like, oh, okay, they're just all showing up for the party. I didn't see. Maybe I don't understand the significance.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't understand the significance. Was it not planned to have all those people help, or did Doctor Strange actually do all the stuff behind the scenes and just surprised everybody?
No, it was planned. Well, I mean, the problem is all these people have been snapped away. So it's like when Hulk snaps the Iron Gauntlet, which is what it's called in the comic books, I think, is the Iron Gauntlet. It brings everybody back, but immediately after he snaps his finger is when Thanos attacks. So they have to do that. So it does take a minute for like these people to kind of figure out what's going on, for things to start happening to where these guys can join the battle. So the first part of that battle is very much Thanos just running roughshod over the few Avengers that are actually there to fight him. And then just when you think, I swear to God, I actually I don't have it up, but I actually have the scene where it's just Captain America standing there on this desolate wasteland, and he's looking across at Thanos' entire army. And he's standing there proud. That moment where he cinches up his shield, he's like, all right, bring it, bitches. Like, that to me is warrior level fucking 1000. Like, that is hero shit. And then as he's getting ready to go to his certain death, it's when you hear Sam come over the comm and say, on your left.
On your left.
And then that's the portal scene where all the portals start opening. You see, I swear to God, it's like, as soon as you see T'Challa walk out of that portal with Shuri and what's her name? I was like, oh my God. And then just like portal after portal opens up. I'm like, good God, that is brilliant filmmaking. It was just such a wonderful scene.
And then you get the chills. He says Avengers. Assemble.
My first thought when I saw that was,
go!
Okay, yeah, this John Walker fuck can never step in his shoes. After seeing that scene right there, I'm like, come on. And then I didn't, because Dan and I were watching it, and I didn't want to talk during the movie, but I knew the second they saw the old man on the bench, I saw the leather pouch, and I remembered the leather pouch from the first episode of Winter Soldier, so I knew it was Steve Rogers. But I didn't necessarily know that he was old until he
lived his life. He
came around. But my question is, and Dan said Peggy had already died in the timeline.
In the movies that we've seen, yes.
So why didn't he come forward? I don't know. Maybe he's not supposed to come forward as an older Steve and try to help them and warn them. I mean, is he not able to do that?
No.
The way
I don't think I will.
The way that they put the way that the Russo brothers kind of explain the time travel thing, they even said it at one point in Endgame. It's like you can go back and do something but not affect your current timeline. They kind of rewrote all the rules, the movie rules of time travel that we've always kind of worked with.
I remember them making a joke about Back to the Future being full of shit.
Because time travel is one of those weird things. A lot of movie fans, it's gotten to the point where when time travel becomes kind of a MacGuffin of sorts to kind of use to push your story along, it's gotten to the point that a lot of movie fans kind of roll their eyes at it because it's so silly. So you got to be really, really careful how you use it. And I think this time they decided, well, as a way to not annoy fans with the time travel thing, we're just going to rewrite the rules of time travel. It's like, yeah, you can go back and do stuff and it won't affect your timeline. And that's why they put emphasis in a little bit of the dialogue here and there about different timelines, branching off, yada, yada, yada. This timeline's going to continue, but this one's going to go do this and that. That's kind of how they explained it all away. They take a little bit of dialogue. One? Yeah, they take a little bit of dialogue to kind of explain their position on time travel.
Okay.
But
I just find it hard to believe that old Steve wouldn't have reached out to any of them after Peggy died.
Well, he knows they won. So he doesn't really have to. It's like he knows they won.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's one of the reasons why he stays back in the 40s, that he goes back to the 40s after he puts everything back where it's supposed to be. He wants to go enjoy his life. He's like, you know what? We won. We beat Thanos. I've got this opportunity to go back and live.
Or something.
I'm going to take the opportunity to go back and live the life that I was supposed to have had I never really gotten involved in all this superhero bullshit nonsense anyway. I'm gonna go marry up. I'm gonna go wife up Peggy Carter, and I'm gonna go have my life because I know that it's all gonna work out in the end. But we could honestly go on for days about some of this Marvel shit. But we're gonna have to get to our top 5 at some point. I want to say hi to some people in the chat. My son Max was in here for a little while, but he had to go to bed. What's going on, Max? Love you, buddy. Bry Guy in here. TSS2. What's going on to you guys? Penny the Pooh. What's going on, Penny the Pooh? Mathis Monroe. Thanks for joining up. It's the first time I've seen you in the chat. I hope you like what you get from us. And Cora's obviously doing some wrench work in the chat. But we are here to talk about our 5, to rank our top 5 Marvel films. So here's what we've done. Jeremy raised an interesting question the other day. Are we talking about just MCU, or are we talking about all Marvel stuff? So I decided to have a little fun with it. We're going to go with everything Marvel. So any Marvel film that has been made, because now it all exists in the same, well, most of it exists. It exists under the same umbrella of Disney and Marvel now, as it is, because, they bought all the stuff from 20th Century Fox. Now that it's all under the same umbrella, I figured, why not go ahead and just go through every movie? Every movie that has been made about a Marvel character, we're going to have some fun with. We're going to rank them. Jeremy's is kind of interesting. Cora's is kind of interesting. Mine, I think, is pretty good. I like mine. But we're going to start with the Dowager Countess herself, Lady Cora. What's your 5th favorite movie?
I'm going to go with Captain America #1 movie. Is that what I call it? The first one.
Captain America, the First Avenger, yes.
Yes. That one is my top, the bottom of my 5 list. I love period pieces, hence why I love Downton Abbey. Why Frank nicknamed me that. But this really drew you in, and I love the Steve Rogers origin story. Just love it. And the music, I like the Bucky introduction, everything about it. I will rewatch this movie. I don't think I'll ever watch Civil War again. That was just too upsetting, seeing all of the friends fighting with each other. But I will definitely rewatch this one. Love it, love it, love it. And it was the first one I watched, because it's in the timeline order, when I went to sit down after WandaVision. So it's kind of special, because it's the first one on the journey that I had last night. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely a good movie. It's also the first movie where they kind of spell it out in letters exactly where this is going to end up. It's the First Avenger. This is the first time you hear you have the word Avenger in one of the movie titles. That was pretty significant when it came out. It was big news. Jeremy, some of your thoughts on this film?
Yeah, it kind of says it all. It's I mean, even though it wasn't the first movie that came out, I mean, we all know who we started with, but as a starting point, I think it's a pretty damn good movie. And that's like Cora said, like, I have a weird soft spot for, like, period pieces too, especially, stuff from like the 40s and World War II. Just, I think it's kind of cool.
And the casting was fantastic, down to, like, the bad guys. And I'm a big Dominic Cooper fan anyways. And Stanley Tucci. I mean, these are all amazing actors, and they came together for a comic book movie, which, Tommy Lee Jones, for fuck's sake, and Hugo Weaving. I mean, these aren't small names. I mean, they got a fucking fantastic cast.
Well, Tommy Lee Jones did another comic book movie, guy by the name of Batman, but we don't talk about that movie.
Yeah, he was much better in this movie, much better character. But, that's the one thing that kind of disappointed me about. The only thing that really disappointed me about Tommy Lee Jones is we only got him for this one film. It would have been awesome to have seen him play a bigger role in the MCU. But I mean, honestly, he's alive in World War II. He's already 60 years old in this movie. He probably wasn't going to live through to what was coming in the Avengers anyway.
I guess you could say it would be No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
And the CGI on making Steve Rogers look tiny impressed the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's serious and really upgrade. I mean, for movies back in the 80s and 90s, I mean, this is some seriously good CGI shit. So,
yeah, it was a great like Cora said, and me and Cora are both fans of Downton Abbey. We like those period pieces. It was partially that. It was part war movie. It was part superhero movie. This is actually one of the best origin stories for a comic book I've seen ever. I mean, it's like, I like all of them, but this one was so well put together, and it's just, like I said, it's just a testament as to how good
and especially
Marvel has been about building the stories.
And am I right? The bad guy in this movie was the same guy who was up on the mountain with the soul stone?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. How the fuck did he end up there? Do they ever put that together?
Space magic.
Yeah, he even says in the dialogue, he's like, my curse is I have to sit here and direct people to the stone that I spent my life trying to find or whatever.
Then he said, like, yeah, I live my life guiding people to something I cannot possess.
Yeah,
he reminded me of the guy in the tomb in Indiana Jones who was the last
the knight from the Crusade.
It's exactly what it made me think of when I saw that, except I'm like, I know that face. I think he's a bad guy in the Captain America movie, but I'm not sure. I'm not worried about that right now. Yeah. So, yeah, fantastic. First one in the timeline. I love that many years from now, when people watch it in order, this is going to be the first one they see.
Yeah, timeline it is. I don't think you necessarily have to watch these in timeline format. I mean, you
enjoyed it.
It doesn't hurt anything. It certainly doesn't hurt anything. But it being like what, the third movie that came out? I think it was the third, like release wise chronologically. I think it was the third film that came out. I think you watch it and you get it. You definitely understand it. I mean, because I think it was the first two Iron Man movies and this one, and then Thor, and then we got the first Avengers film. I think is how it went down in phase one.
Hulk. After that, maybe?
Actually, I think the Incredible Hulk was phase 2.
The Edward Norton.
The Edward Norton one, yeah. I'm pretty sure it was phase 2. But yeah, again, Captain America: The First Avenger is definitely it's one of the top ones. I think it's such a great movie all around, fantastic. But Jeremy, what's your fifth favorite Marvel comic book movie?
Well, I'm glad I was supposed to fucking rank these because I didn't. So.
I didn't either.
I'm like 5 minutes ago I was apparently supposed to fucking rank these, so I'm like, well, I guess there's no real discerning order here, but I guess if I had to pick one for the fifth, like we were just talking about movies that have time travel that fix little nuances, I'll start with X-Men: Days of Future Past. I'm gonna go the other way and go to the X-Men. Now look, you said there have been ones that do it for a reason and do it right, and I'm saying this is a movie that fucking did it right. I was excited as hell because I mean it opens up they're fucking at the end of the world. They got these fucking sentinels attacking them, and they're kind of in a fucking corner. It's like shit. We're in this fucking situation here. So they're like, hey, you know what we can do? Just send somebody back to fix all this crap because convoluted X-Men movies, but beside the point. Whatever. Professor X just saying like, oh, there's things I have that you don't understand. That you're gonna explain that to how you just died? All right, dude. Whatever. It's a superhero movie. I don't care. And you know what? I fucking love Hugh Jackman. I'm not even gonna lie. So I don't ever mind when I get to see him just fucking running around kicking ass and doing shit. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, Cora, have you got a chance to see this movie?
Oh, I've seen all the X-Men movies. Oh, okay. So yes, I love them all.
Thank you. That's what I grew up on first. I fucking watched more of the X-Men than I did anything else. And the old Spider-Man.
Yep.
Yeah, Days of Future Past. It is great. I mean, if I'm just ranking the X-Men movies, I kind of am a little partial towards the first one because it kind of set the whole thing off. It really was kind of a big boost that comic book movies needed when it came out. But this one is a very close second. This one is a very close second. I mean, this one really put the entire universe together.
Yes.
And I know it seems like this maybe looks better than the rest of the movies because they had such serious continuity issues. But at the same, like I said, none of that really mattered in this movie. It seemed like they finally kind of found a center for everything, and the only place that they did it right was kind of this film. And then they followed it up with a terrible film, which was really disappointing. But yeah, Days
I wasn't patrolling to be like, X-Men Origins. So that's a good fucking movie. I almost put that as my guilty pleasure. I'm like, look, again, I fucking love Hugh Jackman. I fucking love him as Logan. It's not a great movie, I know that, because of one particular thing. But, hey.
It was also cool the way they bridged together the Patrick Stewart version of X-Men and the newer version of X-Men that we had gotten. So it was really cool that they had managed to kind of bridge those. Yeah, with James McAvoy. It was really cool that they could bridge those things and come up with a quality story that got everybody involved. And like I said, they kind of shit the bed for the next couple of times out. But I mean, whatever. Like we're looking forward to what Kevin Feige's going to do with it now. Let's just take the good movies that we got from Fox, and we'll always enjoy them and love them. But now we're going to move on to the master Kevin Feige as he does his stuff.
As long as they don't just redo them all.
I don't think they're going to be. Well, I mean, he's going to start fresh, so I mean, there's probably some storylines that are going to kind of repeat. But Kevin Feige's going to be pretty good about picking some other things that they maybe didn't use in the original X-Men, the Fox stuff. And kind of like build new stories around those. Some of the little more obscure characters and storylines.
But it's not going to be like the why am I blanking what it's called? The movie they were completely redoing that had Will Smith in it and had the Joker in it. They're just completely redoing it.
No, Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't want to see them do that to it.
That movie was terrible. It needed to be
done.
But redoing
we didn't technically redo the Snyder Cut, but we kind of got something better out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm not open-minded enough to redoing things. Then.
Look, I didn't mind the Suicide Squad movie. I actually kind of liked it.
I liked it.
Great.
I thought it was.
I liked it. And I'm like, I know that. Well, no, I know they cut a lot of things out. And when I saw all the stuff they cut out, I'm like, a lot more of this makes more sense to me, and it feels like it flows better. If they wouldn't have been afraid to actually make it 4 hours long as well, keep all the good shit in there, like they did with the Snyder Cut, it probably would have been better. I'm not mad that they were making. I feel like now we're kind of like really coming in swinging.
So even if they redo the X-Men completely, you won't be like, oh, the other one was better. You'll just love it for what it is.
I mean, I don't. That movie was made what, like fucking 2000,
something like that. Yeah.
And we've remade Spider-Man. Every other week for the last fucking 20 years. So
I haven't watched the new Spider-Man for a reason because I like the original ones with Tobey.
Oh, the new ones are good. The new ones are good.
They're better.
Oh,
I see. I mean, like I said, it was a nostalgia thing with Tobey Maguire. I was a little kid when those came out. And I thought Spider-Man was the coolest fucking thing in the world. Like when I mean, it still gives me chills now when you see him first walk up the wall. I'm like, okay, that's pretty fucking awesome. It's just.
Mm-hmm.
It sinks in.
The upside down kiss and
right.
So yeah.
But then when I got older, I saw the Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm like, okay, now me a little bit older, I'm probably what was it, like 2012, 2014? I'm just out of high school. I'm like, these are kind of better. This is more comic accurate. I'm like, okay.
Well, maybe I'll watch him after hearing you say that.
I don't know. I was like, I like this a little better. I kind of like him. I don't know. He kind of plays a better Spider-Man, maybe not necessarily like Peter Parker, but he plays like that snarky, witty Spider-Man really well. And then I don't know, Tom Holland just blows me out of the fucking water. You already have seen him, so. Is
Tom Holland the one who plays the little Spider-Man guy in the MCU movies that Tony saves?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, he's actually pretty good.
He's the one that didn't feel so good.
Okay, well, if he's in another, I'll watch those then. Okay.
Yeah. They're not bad. I mean, for what hello? No, it's not my phone. For what they are.
Okay.
I think Tom Holland stuff is actually very, very good.
I just don't like the teenager angle. I like that he's a little older at the Tobey Maguire ones.
That actually pissed a lot of people off at first.
Yeah, because he looks like he's fucking 30 years old. He's supposed to be like in high school. I'm like, they all look like they're 30 years old. The fuck?
Yeah.
Now again, I was a kid, so I saw them as high schoolers. I believed that those are actually high schoolers. But then when I watched it again, I'm like, no, the fuck they're not. They're older than me. What?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people did not like the fact that we were starting with the adult version of Peter Parker. They wanted us to have that high school version because one of the things about Spider-Man and Peter Parker is that the best incarnations of him is that he's a kid coming into his own as a superhero. So he has some of those fumblings and trappings of youth that affect his work as a superhero. He's not polished right off the top like it seems some other superheroes are.
I guess there was some backstory that I've missed from not watching it then, because when he goes back to school after they snap back and it's all over, he's hugging his friends and stuff. And I'm like, I have no idea what this is about. So I just thought that was all just something they put in for him. Is there a backstory to this kid that explains him being in school?
You'll see when you watch the movies.
Okay, all right, I'll check it out.
I mean, I don't want to give too much away. I mean, you should experience his journey with him. That's the best way to kind of watch him.
Well, but maybe I'll watch those next.
Yeah, but if I'm starting off top 5, and I'm gonna start with Infinity War as my 5th favorite movie. This
Okay, well, can we
to last, correct?
can we do a joint? Because I kind of feel like I did Infinity War as well. I feel like okay, I'll run the other one. I'm like I copped out and said Infinity War the Endgame because I thought of it as like a 2-part one thing. Like,
well, that's initially what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. Then they came out after that big announcement, like, actually, the first one's going to be Infinity War, the second one's going to have its own title. And I was like, I don't know, I kind of liked Infinity War 1 and 2, but whatever. But yeah, we can go back to back. Now, see, here's the thing. A lot of people that are fans of the Star Wars movies, a lot of them think that the magnum opus of this entire franchise is Return of the Jedi. Or not Return of the Jedi, but Empire Strikes Back. Now,
okay, well, I thought it was Return of the Jedi. Jeez.
The reason why but a lot of people think that Empire Strikes Back is the best movie. And one of the reasons they think that that's the best movie is because at the end of it, the good guys are losing. I mean, the good guys lose. At the end of the movie, think about how that movie ends. For those of you who haven't seen it, spoiler alert for a movie that's 112 years old, is that Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite, Lucas just got his hand chopped off, the Rebel Alliance is in disarray, and the Empire is basically...
He found out he's his father.
Yeah, he just found out that he's his father, and the Empire is running roughshod over the galaxy. So when the movie ends, the bad guys are winning. It's not a good look, and like I said, it's how the whole first 3 movies are put together: first, second, and third act. Generally speaking, when you're putting together a story at the end of the second act, you're supposed to look like the good guys are going to lose. That's how you build drama for the third act. So that's how this movie ended, was with essentially the bad guys being way out in front, way on top. That's how this movie ends. Now, Infinity War is a Thanos movie. It has much less to do with the rest of the Avengers and way more to do about Thanos. So this is Thanos' one standalone movie, ultimately, is this film. So you go through the entire events of all this, and at the very end, he snaps, people start dusting everywhere, and then he bounces out, and he just leaves people to deal with all this mess. So he leaves Tony to deal with the kid, with Peter Parker disintegrating in his arms. As the last couple minutes of the movie, we're going to all these various places around the world, and people are just dusting away. Superheroes are dusting away. Regular people are dusting away. And you're really wondering, oh my God, he just snapped. This is what wasn't supposed to happen. What comes next? Oh yeah, credits roll, and you're like, what the fuck?
Go find out next year.
We really end the movie like this? Yeah. You know why? Because there's a 3-hour movie coming with all the stuff that comes after this. So we have to build drama for what's coming next. We have to raise the stakes. I have to say,
when I saw the ending of it, I was like, this is why they kept telling me I'm lucky I don't have to wait.
Yeah. I really, really envy the fact that you were watching some of the stuff for the first time. I would really love to go back and watch Infinity War and Endgame for the first time again. I mean, I still enjoy watching them, but I would love to go in there just bright-eyed and not anticipating that portal scene, not anticipating Captain America picking up Mjolnir, not anticipating some of the stuff. I would love to be hit by that the first time again.
Yeah, when we first, coming back after finally getting the ending of Infinity War and starting Endgame, and I was right there with Cap. Let's go get this son of a bitch. I'm like, get right, let's go. I'm like, oh God, thank you, Cap.
But Jeremy, what were you going to say about Infinity War?
Yeah, it was a nice. Yeah, like I said, I think really, what else have we really seen from Thanos before that? Because I know they had like that weird little teaser shot where like he kind of turns around the camera and you see him and you're like, oh fuck, here comes Thanos. And it wasn't even Josh. Like they hadn't had it planned yet. They had Thanos planned, but like I don't think we actually had him in a movie yet. Right. So, he steps right out of the fucking gate. This is what we're at the tail end of Ragnarok, I think, when he catches the Asgardians going wherever home is where the Asgards are, And I'm just like, this just fucking flat out balls to the wall, and it just went out. And it even scared the shit out of the Hulk, which is no small feat, I'm sure. I'm just like, oh my good God. Whoa. It kind of blew me away, and I was like, okay. All right, I see you, Thanos. I see you. And I don't know. Look, I don't know why. I think the most, and it may just be because, Chris Evans isn't hard to look at. But I don't know why, like, beardy Cap is like my favorite aesthetic of Cap. I'm like, he looks like a fucking badass. I love this shit.
Did you like this? I don't know which movie it is, but they make a joke about, yes, that's America's ass when he's fighting himself.
That's Endgame.
That's Endgame, yeah.
Hella funny. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Like I said, Endgame was one of my other ones. I'm mentioning that for sure. That's shit. Yeah. it's kind of cool seeing him get, it's building up to this, like, he's getting the stones, and it just culminates into this big fucking fight in Wakanda. And of course, I'm never going to get tired of Chadwick Boseman standing there fucking doing that little chant as they all fucking just take the fuck. I mean, watching him and fucking Cap just lead the fucking pack. And then it just, like I said, it just emotionally gut punches you. Like you said, now you understand with Vision having to die twice.
Yes.
Wanda having to watch it twice.
Oh.
Right. As soon as that happened, I was kind of like, I even thought about it before. I'm like, doesn't he have the times? Oh, there he goes. Oh no. I was actually like, oh no, don't. And then I was actually just, my jaw was like open, just watching everybody get fucking dusted. I actually started to tear up. I'm like, no. And then I'm like, not that one. No, not that person. No, not that one. Come on. It fucking hurt. And then it's like, that was it. I'm like, motherfucker. Oh man. That was not okay.
One of the things I thought was really fitting about that whole dusting scene, though, is I recognized immediately when I first saw the movie who was left, and it was the OG Avengers. It was like a lot of the people that had come in along the way had gotten dusted, but at the end, it was just the OG Avengers that were going to be left to deal with this Thanos thing or whatever was going to come afterwards. So it left, like, all the people from the original Avengers movie were all the ones that were left. It had kind of just circled back around to this original crew.
And what's one of the most heartbreaking things, and I know I'm bouncing between Endgame and Infinity War, but it's because you can do that with those. The thing that hurts the most about Peter Parker is I know it's the meme and make jokes like, oh, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. I'm like, you realize what he's doing? His spidey sense is going nuts because he knows he's gonna die, and that extra layer of, oh my god, now I'm like, he knows, so it's even worse for him. I'm like, that's fucked up. And like I said, when he's telling him, like, Mr. Stark, we did it, we won, and he starts to cry more. I'm like, again, his spidey sense, he's like, oh my god,
I don't want to go, is what he said. I don't want to go.
Yeah,
I don't want to leave. One of the two. And I just gut punch.
I mean, like, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you hear those words, I don't want to go, and then someone, there he goes. It hurts. It's emotional.
Absolutely. But
when I first figured out what the dust stuff meant, as soon as they started going to other scenes to show, I was like, no, who's gonna go now? No, no. I was actually saying that to TV. No.
And that was
in the theater trying not to do that. And I was like, no.
And that's the most terrifying part of that scene is, like, you've already lost. It's like, it's not just like they're plunging the knife into you. They're doing it like millimeter by millimeter. It's like scene by scene. You're like, you cut to this scene, you're like, wait a minute, these people are in the scene. Which ones are going to be there? And then you slowly figure it out. Then it cuts to another scene with 2 more people, and you're like, wait a minute, which one of these guys are going? And then it's just scene after scene. They're just like slowly driving the knife deeper into your heart.
And here's the thing, I'd watched Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 days before this. And I was like, and then that bonus scene where they vanish on the rooftop, I just sat there. I'm not kidding. I let the TV just go back to the Disney home screen. I was watching it by myself. Dan was working. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Where the fuck did they go? It's in the quantum. Oh my God. I was so mad. And I was like,
she got emotionally invested.
You're gonna find out what happens. And then it occurred to me, wait a second. This looks a lot like when Monica reconfigured in WandaVision. This ties in. You have to wait till you watch the next 2 movies. It's like, okay.
Well, you didn't have to wait.
I was mad though. I almost wanted to have a drink. I was like,
oh yeah.
No. Nope.
You went through a lot of emotions in like a very short time.
I did.
Like, I guess that's a good thing we waited because we spaced it out. Well, we had time to kind of mend.
But that's one of the great things about these films is they're sending you through a large range of emotions, like, right away.
Yeah.
Right.
But that is my 5th favorite Marvel film. Also, if you guys haven't had a chance yet, go ahead and drop a like on that stream. I would really appreciate it. It pushes up with that algorithm a little bit. YouTube does absolutely nothing to help small creators like us, so if you could help us out by dropping a like on the stream, we would very much appreciate it. We've got a few already, but we need more. And
how about, why don't you comment? What's your favorite Marvel movies?
Oh,
comments help too.
We could go through a bunch of people have listed them. TSS.
We'll probably go through them here in a minute. We'll
Oh,
go
okay.
through them. A couple like Schleppy's on crack. It's like he's obviously not. He obviously does not understand exactly what we're talking about, but we do love Schleppy. He's one of our favorite people. But now that we've all gotten through,
don't hate my list.
yeah, now that we've gotten through our top 5, let's get to the top. Let's get to our fourth favorite. And Cora, what is your fourth favorite Marvel movie?
I'm gonna go with Thor, the number one. When this came out in 2011, I saw it with I didn't see it in the theaters, but as soon as it came out on DVD, I did see it. I watched this movie. First of all, I'm a huge Anthony Hopkins fan, so anything with him. I'm not a big Chris Hemsworth. Oh my God, he's gorgeous kind of person, but so I was going into this like
He's gorgeous.
He's just a pretty boy. He's not going to do good, you know. I was shocked. I was really shocked with how good he was as Thor. Natalie Portman, she's all right, but I was thoroughly impressed with Tom
Hiddleston,
whatever, who played Loki.
Fucking Loki.
And I'm a big Rene Russo fan, and Anthony. So I just loved this movie. I've seen this movie probably 10 times. It's one of my actually top 100 movies of all time. I don't know if it's just, you know, and I'm a big Norse mythology person. You know, there's some operas out there that I love that tie into, you know, all this kind of stuff. So it's just, I was a big fan of it to begin with. I saw it the same year it came out. So that was very exciting. And that's why it's in my top 5. I like how there's, you know, it bounces from Earth to Asgard, and just out of the romance angle, I don't really give two shits about, but it's just, I love the dynamic of Thor coming to Earth, not realizing that people don't give a shit about him, and the whole gods thing, and then, you know, it's also reminiscent to me of that Superman movie when the 3 ones broke out of the ice, and you know what I'm talking about, right?
They broke out of the Phantom Zone. Yeah.
Yeah. I know you're laughing because I don't know the words or the names, but
no,
it's okay.
I'm just laughing because it's a ridiculous movie.
Zod and who are the other two? I forget.
Yeah. Zod the fucking.
So, and I love Superman movies, so for me it was like a little cool, awesome tie-in. And the Darcy character, I loved her in WandaVision because I loved her in this movie. The comedic stuff, and I forget the name who plays the side guy. Colm. No. Anyways, the older scientist guy who works with him, he's fantastic.
No, Stellan Skarsgård.
Yes, thank you. So Thor's my number 4 movie. I saw it, and also it's, you know, around this time of year, the anniversary is coming up of this movie being released. So this was actually my first introduction outside of X-Men into anything MCU, and so it's kind of got a special place in my heart, that one.
Jeremy, what do you think of Thor?
Who, me?
Your name's Jeremy, right?
Well, you cut out. You just said, what do you think of Thor? And I'm like, I don't know who. It cut out right on my name. I don't know who you're talking to.
He didn't introduce you, so he's not alled to say your name on this episode.
Look,
I know, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is funny. I did have this is not the first time it happened, but I had a previous supervisor nicknamed me Loki at work. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Is it a nickname?
Yeah, like he just nicknamed me Loki and was just calling me that. Like, then he comes in one day. He's like, "Hey, I watched your movie last night." Like, I was like, "What?" He's like, "No, I watched. It was one of the Thor movies." I'm like, oh, "Motherfucker, really?" It's whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I like Thor. I hate being the DC person. I'm like, nah, he's the Aquaman. No one really gives a shit. I'm sorry. He is the Aquaman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your opinions are awesome.
I mean, I'm just saying. I watched, like I said, when I watched the Snyder Cut, and they were doing that little awesome pan down all of them, I was like, yeah, that one's Captain America, that one's Batman. Oh, that's definitely Spider-Man. And it got to Aquaman, I'm like, nah, he's Thor, basically. He's kind of the Thor. You know, I don't know. And it's kind of nice that, like, you take a character like that you kind of think is just kind of lame or kind of stupid. But it's like, I mean, I wouldn't fucking mouth off Chris Hemsworth or Jason Momoa for that fucking fact, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, you guys are cool. I wouldn't, yeah, you'd kick my ass for sure.
Yeah, I personally,
It's a nice setup.
I like the first Thor movie, but I'll be perfectly honest with you. Of all the standalone movies, the Thor movies have been my least favorite. Not to say I don't like them; they're just my least favorite. As the
I don't like the second or third one all that much.
the first couple.
The first one's epic.
Yeah, the first one was better. I didn't like it at first. I thought it was kind of half-assed. It's grown on me a little bit over time. I think a lot about Thor the way a lot of people thought about Captain Marvel, that it was just kind of rushed to introduce the characters so you could get to the next big movie, which was in this case, which was Avengers. You just wanted to make this movie so you get him introduced and then go to the Avengers thing.
Yeah, but nobody wants to fucking shit on Thor anymore. They just want to shit on Captain Marvel because she came out last.
Yeah, one of the things I haven't liked much about Thor.
Damn it.
One of the things I haven't liked much about Thor is they got farther into the standalone movies. They seem to get farther and farther away from the mythology that it's based on. So it's like Thor really kind of used a lot of it. Thor 2 used a good bit. Thor 3 went for the cheap laughs. They didn't really.
Thor 3 was a comedy show.
Yeah,
Let's just be honest. It was a comedy show with
but it was
a
like
little bit of direction.
Comedy. I wanted it to be like 30% comedy and the rest of it like Thor, like mythology.
Well, I thought it was supposed to have already set up the whole Thor thing with the last two, and this is like the Planet Hulk angle where I'm like, oh, okay, so we're over here now doing this shit. That's what.
But to be honest, when you're watching this from timeline beginning to end, you need a comedic break at some point, and that was the comedic break. Thor 3.
The problem was in the third one, it's like every 5 seconds was a comedic break. So like they have some really good dialogue.
The whole movie is.
They have some really good dialogue that gets built up, and then it's like 10 minutes of jokes. So I'm like, okay, look, we're on this good train of like dialogue and story, and it's all happening, and then it's like, and you've got Jeff Goldblum who delivers comedy he does everything very, very well. Let's be perfectly honest here. And so you've got him, and it's good to have him do that, but it seemed like as soon as you were getting some really good, deep discussion and thoughtful stuff going, then it was turned right back around to the funny part of the movie, and I'm like, come on, ride this out a little bit.
The action scene when they first take his ship, and then and he says, well, why aren't there any guns on this ship? Well, he actually uses it for orgies, and then they make the lights go off, like disco lights. I'm like, come on now, let's get to the story. Okay, we get it, you stole his ship. We don't need to hear the joke about him having orgies in there.
Yeah, it's stuff like that, because by far my favorite scene in the third one is like on the mountain overlooking the ocean, the conversation between Thor, Loki, and Odin. That was a beautiful scene. And then it was really
over
cool.
Norway on Earth.
Yeah, and then of course Hela comes in and causes all her chaos. But like that was the only really great scene that really got me emotionally involved in the movie. Where everything else was just like it was like watching Porky's or something like that. It was like watching a superhero version of Porky's without all the tits and stuff like that. It was just I was like it's funny, and I like funny, but at the same time, I want some of that more. I want a good balance of the funny and the serious dialogue and the mythology and stuff like that. They seem to run as far away from mythology as they could in the third movie.
I wanted more Zeppelin. I want to see more Anthony Hopkins in the movie. Like, why didn't we see the scene of Loki taking him to Earth under his spell and putting him in a nursing home? And by the way, there's a nod to the Golden Girls. Because Dorothy put her mom in Shady Pines, and this place was called Shady Acres. So somebody loved the Golden Girls there, by the way.
Well, of course they did.
But
they have good taste.
Yes. So anyway, so I hear you, but for me, the first one, maybe it's just there's something special about it. I don't know what, but loved it.
Yeah, the first one's not bad. Second one's not bad. Third one, I mean, a good movie, funny.
It's worth watching.
And I've watched it a couple of times when I wanted some laughs, but as far as the good deep stuff that I really wanted from this character, it just missed really, really badly. It did introduce the other two characters. What was it, Grog and the little guy? I forget his name.
Which had a great little cameo in the little new Asgardian village, sitting there drinking beer, playing video games with Fat Thor.
Hey, but they showed up. They showed up in the final battle with Thanos, though. That's all I care about.
Hell yeah!
Oh, they did. I didn't catch that.
If you,
Howard the Duck did too.
If you actually go slow motion through that scene where it like the camera kind of goes across the whole group of people and shows them, you can see some pretty amazing shit in there. Yeah, you can see some pretty amazing people pop up. I mean, you could pick out some pretty.
Hold on. Have you seen Ready Player One?
That is my husband's favorite movie, and I've seen it
Okay.
10 times. And guess what?
Your husband is my
Because
new
of-
favorite person then.
He's finishing the audiobook, and he's about to listen to a Ready Player 2 audiobook. The book that was just released in November is a follow-up.
Yeah, I have both books. I need to actually read them now because now I'm going to fall behind. It's like watching that. Like every time you watch that movie, you'll fucking see someone else you didn't fucking see the last time. And it's like,
Yeah. In the
holy
book,
shit.
though, I've listened to sections of Ready One when he's listening to it in the car. Holy shit, the book has so much more. It's so cool.
Well, yeah,
But anyway,
of course.
And
He gave us
just
a 3-hour
here's a
movie
quick
that.
question. You guys understand the comics. So when you get to the end of Endgame, what percentage of the comic book plot was actually applied to this MCU 25 movies? I mean, did they stray pretty far or not?
Well, I would. I mean, they strayed pretty far, but they were never going to be direct adaptations of the comics anyway. And they made very clear that what they were doing is they were picking elements of the comic books out, and they were building a new story around those elements. For example, who was it that created the Pym particles? It was Hank Pym and Howard. I think Howard Stark had something to do with it, and there was something else. Mm-hmm. Also, what am I thinking of? Ultron. Ultron is actually, in the comic books, was actually created by Howard Stark and Hank Pym. Hank Pym actually had something to do with the creation of Ultron as well, whereas in the movies, in the MCU, he doesn't. So I mean, so they took little elements of these things and were like, okay, we're going to put these along the story, we're going to craft the story around them on down this line, and that's how they did it. So they're not a direct adaptation of any one particular comic book storyline. They took a bunch of different comic book storylines and kind of picked and parceled different things from all of them and built this new universe around those things.
And they do that with The Walking Dead too. It's like, it's not directly, I mean, I've read the comics of Walking Dead too, and I'm like, it's not, there are things that are still kind of in there, and it is its own thing. They have their own kind of
I just was curious how closely they kept it to the, the comic book.
Well, look at it this way. If you think about Captain America Civil War, the Civil War comic book literally had every Marvel character. X-Men, Fantastic Four, Avengers, like every Marvel comic book character was involved in the Civil War in Civil War 1. And there is actually a Civil War 2 in the comic books, and a lot of people think that they're eventually going to get to that in the movies. So we may be getting their Civil War at some point.
After they do the X-Men ones, maybe?
After they introduce the X-Men and stuff like that, there's probably going to be another dust up between our heroes, so we'll be getting Civil War 2.
Cool.
I think it's probably going to happen that way, but we'll see.
Great.
I could be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong, because I think it'd be awesome. But we could be seeing another Civil War.
I think it'd be awesome too.
But yeah, that is Thor, the first one. Go check that one out. Go check out all these movies. I mean, they're Marvel. They're freaking awesome. Jeremy, what's your next movie?
Well, technically, I did Infinity War with you, so actually, I could probably do a honorable mention in place of that. That's cool.
Okay.
We knew it was coming. We had to talk about Deadpool. I mean, come on. I was. Look, I saw my Hugh Jackman. Now I got to jerk off his hetero life mate, Ryan Reynolds. I mean, come on.
Wait,
he's not hard to look at either.
I don't know. Deadpool movies were Marvel movies.
Deadpool is a Marvel character, but he's not yet been incorporated into the MCU. He was one of the things that Disney bought.
I didn't know it was an MCU, but I just didn't know it was an actual Marvel.
Yeah, he's a Marvel character.
Fucking! I thought it was a standalone kind of thing.
Well, in a way, but it's not technically.
Cool.
Yeah, so he's not yet part of the MCU. He is likely going to be. The how is the big question, because Disney does not like making R-rated stuff, and and you can't really do Deadpool unless he's R-rated, because that's kind of his character. So how we're going to do this going forward, I don't know.
No, that would be the entire plot thread. It's like, he's self-aware, and he would know that he's in a Disney movie, so he knows he can't fucking be that way, and that would just kill him inside. It'd be hilarious to watch him trying to work around it. And he knows he gets like one F-bomb. If we can make a PG-13, he's like, I got one shot at this. Whatever. At the top of my head now, fucking really prepared for this one. I don't know. What else is there to say?
There is actually a comic book.
I love Deadpool.
There is actually a comic book storyline, and Jeremy probably knows this, where Deadpool goes crazy and kills everybody in the MCU.
Yeah.
I haven't read this particular story, but there is I think it may have been like a one-off comic to where he just goes nuts. It's like he slices Spider-Man right down the middle with a sword. It's all kinds of it's a very graphic, very Deadpool thing. I don't think they're ever going to do it in the MCU. I don't think they're ever going to go that route. But there you can actually go look it up. I think there is actually there's a motion comic or something that somebody put together on YouTube. Like where it kind of gives you a visual of the story, and it's pretty wild. But yeah, there is a storyline where Deadpool goes crazy. He kills Wolverine, he kills Iron Man, he kills Thor. He just kills everybody. And I don't remember exactly why he goes nuts or what happens, but there is some weird storyline where that happens. You could probably
Lois Lane's the key. Sorry.
Yeah.
What did you say that name?
Maybe he can go over there and start killing some people in DC.
Yeah, whatever, sure. He'll kill Superman because he went evil too and pretty much killed everybody.
But yeah, so Jeremy's officially was Infinity War. We've already talked about that. So he gives an honorable mention to Deadpool, and Deadpool deserves all kind of honor. So that's good enough for me.
It was done. It was finally done fucking right. God damn it.
Yeah. As far as my fourth, I'm going the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. Remember something for a moment. There was a span of about 5 or 6 years.
Is that a Marvel movie or a Sony movie?
Technically, it's Sony, but it's a Marvel character.
I know, because I'm like, I know you just gave me Deadpool, but I was like, wait, that wasn't actually, that was... Yeah.
It's a Marvel character. It's technically Sony, but it's a Marvel character.
I know.
Just like like Hugh Jackman is a Marvel character. Wolverine's a Marvel character.
But those are actually...
But he was Fox.
Marvel.
But he was Fox.
Whatever.
Same thing, just different studio. But you got to.
Yeah, this is my stupid ass to ask this question. Like, wait, should we open this to all Marvel? Damn it.
But you got to remember, for about 5 or 6 years, this was considered by almost every movie fan with two brain cells to rub together. This was considered the best comic book movie ever made. Before, it had done it better than X-Men by a lot of standards. Now, this is before the MCU became a thing. But a lot of people thought that this was the apex achievement of comic book movie making, and it was fantastic. We have never seen
Hulk wasn't good.
The first one was okay. It wasn't great. This movie is far better than Hulk. It was good. It wasn't great. There was a lot of things
I'm talking about.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that Ang Lee missed in that first movie, but this was the first time we had really gotten to see a superhero fleshed together in this way since really probably Christopher Reeves in the late 70s with Superman. I mean, the Batman stuff with Michael Keaton that Tim Burton did was good, but it was kind of a comic book come to life. They actually tried to ground Spider-Man in real world this time and make it kind of something that could be happening outside your doorstep. And yeah, I think this movie is absolutely phenomenal. I think today it's still one of my favorite comic book movies. Cora, what do you think?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I forget the name of the guy who played his grandfather. Loved this movie.
Why am I drawing a blank in his name? He just passed away a couple years ago.
And I'm a big Kirsten, whatever the fuck her last name is.
You're
fan.
Such a big fan, can't remember
Kirsten
her name.
Dunst.
I could never remember how to pronounce it.
I was in love
right.
once. What was her name? I don't remember. It's not a good start. But keep
I
going.
got this MCU stuff all over my head since last night. Love them. One of my favorite scenes is when he gets bitten by the spider, and I love the CG of the red and blue spider coming down and biting him, and I just like the origin story of this really well. How he has a crush on her, he's in love with Mary Jane, and James Franco is fantastic, and I should know the actor who plays Dad's name. I was talking
Willem Dafoe.
Dafoe, that's right.
How dare you?
Again, a lot of MCU stuff in my head after watching Endgame and Infinity War back to back last night.
He's been in both. He was in Aquaman. Holy shit. He's been in DC and Marvel.
Cliff Robertson is the one that played Uncle Ben in the Sam Raimi movies.
Nice.
It just was really well cast and had a fantastic flow to it. And the musical score was great. The CGI was well balanced. It's a really good, fun movie to watch. And there aren't any scenes in it where you're like, oh, that was stupid, or It didn't need to do that. The whole thing just came together in a nice little package. So I really did enjoy this movie.
Jeremy, give us your take.
Well, I guess this culminates from, again, like I said, this was a movie that really, it sticks with me nostalgic-wise because, again, I was like a little kid when I saw this movie, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the fucking world. I wanted to be Spider-Man, too. I wanted to fucking crawl up the wall. We would do that on the outside of our school, like on the bricks. We'd sit there and just, like, try to fucking climb up it. And now knowing that it was Sam Raimi and actually knowing who the hell that is, and I saw Evil Dead, and I was like, wait a minute. Why is Bruce Campbell in all these movies? Actually, I don't care because it's Bruce Campbell. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's the same, the car Uncle Ben has, like I mentioned. It's the same one from Evil Dead. I'm like, this is funny. I don't know why that's in there, but it just is. Also, why it's in there now, and it just is fucking, no one mentioned Bonesaw McGraw, otherwise known as Macho Man or Randy Savage.
I think most of the
even as a kid,
I think most of the people in this community remember that.
Even as a kid, I fucking knew. I'm like, you can't. I was like, you can't fool me. That's Macho Man. Like I knew that for a fact. Like that's Macho Man. It's. I think it's the first real home run in terms of like a comic book character / movie being made. That it's not like too campy or in your face or just kind of. It had its good balance of, that it's kind of little funny things. That's it's serious bits. And also a good origin story for the Green Goblin. And again, Willem Dafoe is fucking a phenomenal actor, dude. Like, this dude's wild. And he plays that shit really well. I'd be scared as fuck of him if he was, the fucking Green Goblin.
I'm really hoping that we very soon get a proper Norman Osborn introduced into this new MCU, because we've got 2 Spider-Man films now, and we haven't touched the Osborn family yet. So
maybe it'll be when they finish up the Spider-Man angle. They'll bring him in for the last movie.
Well, we don't know if this next movie is the last movie yet. We're still not entirely sure. We're still not entirely sure exactly what the deal between Sony and Marvel going forward is going to be. So,
second, I'll be right back. But I'm listening.
But yeah, we still don't know exactly what the deal between Sony and Marvel is going to bring as far as continued use of Spider-Man in the larger MCU. Because as far as I know, they still haven't worked out what goes on past this next Spider-Man standalone, and I think 2 more crossover appearances into other movies. So who knows? I mean, hopefully they'll figure that out really, really quick, and we'll get to see Spider-Man in the MCU for a while. But we don't really know for sure. But yeah, and while Cora steps away for a minute, sounds like she is anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do my shameless plug for our Patreon. Now, for just $5 a month supporting us on Patreon, you can get entered for a drawing to win $25 a month in free movie tickets. Now, the whole point of this is not for me to give money to you guys or to make any money off you guys. It's really to help support the theaters. Coming out of this pandemic that we've all been experiencing for the last year or more, a lot of industries have been really, really badly hurt. As a matter of fact, ArcLight and another big West Coast movie theater just announced that they were closing their doors permanently because of this pandemic. And ArcLight is if you've never been to LA before, it is a legendary theater. You'd know it to see it. It's been used in all kinds of marketing, but they are going to be closing down permanently. And so this has not been easy for a lot of the movie theater places you can go watch movies. So what I really want to do is I really want to promote everybody to get back to the theater and to help support the people that are working there, not the motion picture companies that are going to make their money off these pictures one way or the other, but to support the people, the kids that are working the concession stand, the managers that are running the place, the people that are working the box office. We're trying to help them as we get back to what will hopefully be a more normal lifestyle over the course of the next several months as we come out from the end of this thing. I mean, the vaccine's going out. That's all really great news. We're getting towards the end of this thing, but we do need to do our part to help pick up businesses in our neighborhoods, and that's what I'm really hoping to accomplish with this. So if you support us on Patreon at the link that you see on the screen right now, and the link that is also in the description below, and I'm sure Cora will put it out in a minute when she gets around to it. She usually does. But for $5 a month, you get entered to win $25 in free movie tickets. And if you plan it just right, you can turn that $25 into probably 2 or 3 movies. Or just go on a Friday night. Take your significant other, go see a movie, go buy a bucket of corn and a drink, and just go enjoy a movie. But let's get out there. Let's get these movie theaters back going. I mean, like I said, AMC is the biggest movie theater chain in the world, and they almost got destroyed by this pandemic. And That's going to be very, very tough. Yes, Corey just put the Patreon link in the chat in the chat. So if you want to support us for $5 a month, you will have your chance to win $25 in free movie tickets. We give that away on the first Thursday show of every month. So help us out on Patreon if you would like. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. And I think now we're up to Cora's third.
Okay, so my next so I did 2 already, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my next one is Iron Man 1. It came out in 2008.
I didn't put that on there. I almost did.
This movie drew me in because one, Robert Downey Jr. is very funny. Paul Bettany, I love that he's tied in with Jarvis all the way to the end with WandaVision. So after watching WandaVision, it made me love rewatching this. The whole Tony Stark character has such an amazing character arc from beginning to end of all the movies. And now I really get kind of sentimental about it. I'm going to rewatch Iron Man actually this weekend. I just really love this movie. It's high up on my list. One of my favorite scenes is this dramatic shift from him just being the cocky motherfucker that he is, bringing a fucking bar out to the war zone, saying, "Here, you get this with every one of these you buy." And then he gets blown up. He ends up in the cave. We all know what happens. And out of necessity, he creates, technology to keep himself alive that ends up creating this whole new self-defense Batman type, persona. Another rich guy doing something, with techie shit to try to save the world. And I liked it.
Too much to ask for both?
Batman fan. And so this kind of tied into that, Loved it. And it's, there's a good reason why it's at the top of my list. And I'll be honest, after watching all the MCU movies, this movie climbed the list a little bit because it really showed me that even back then when I saw this, I was still married to my first husband when I saw this. I mean, this came out that long ago.
Yeah, I was still in high school.
Oh my God.
It's my sophomore year of high school.
God. So anyways, I even then I really like this stuff. And so that's why I'm also kicking myself I took so long to watch all these movies. But anyways, I digress. Iron Man is stellar. I like the timing in it. I like the character development from beginning to end. Him becoming a selfless person to some degree, when before he was very, all about himself and making money and didn't give a shit about what his father's company was doing. It just was a beautiful, adult version of a coming of age, or should I say a coming of personal growth story? Maybe that's a better version of what I'm trying to say.
Coming of a midlife crisis.
Yeah. And I love the start of the love story between him and Pepper Potts. So, and the very I cried the first time I saw it when you find out that Yinsen's family's actually dead. That one was hard.
That was kind of an emotional gut punch when I first saw this movie. I was like, oh, damn.
And Jon Favreau is behind the scenes. This guy's amazing in Hollywood. And I love that he takes on the role of Tony Stark's driver/bodyguard. I mean, it just shows you how much humility and how much he loves what he does, that he picked to be in. And to me, that speaks volumes that he directed it, but chose to pick this small role in it. Anyways, they cast it perfectly. I don't know how different the MCU chronological experience would have been if they cast anybody else as Tony Stark. So, there you go. Iron Man.
Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts about this movie?
Well, I'm sure I'm sure John Favreau's character would tell you I work with Iron Man, not for Iron Man. Just the same as Spider-Man. Yeah, this is where I started too. I actually did start watching, these movies. I started with Iron Man back in 2008. Yes, when I was in high school, I went to go see it. So I was just like, "Ooh, cool! What is this? This is awesome!" And then I watched Iron Man 2 and probably fell the fuck off the horse real hard until recently. So whatever. Not like I don't know what happens, but I would say as a starting point again, because this is the first one that came out. I mean, also, who else better to give this role to than Robert Downey Jr.? I mean, what a character for this dude to play, because I don't know. I love when they meld this line when I always ask yourself, is Tony Stark Iron Man, or I'm sorry, is Iron Man Tony Stark Robert Downey Jr., or is Robert Downey Jr. like Tony Stark? Kind of just, I mean, really, when you just kind of think of how he is, I'm like, yeah, I could believe it. He Robert Downey Jr. can go to a podium and fucking just tell me, you know what, I am Iron Man. I'd fucking believe him. I would. I don't know. As for someone who's a Batman fan, I'm like, yeah, he's Batman. Come on.
You talk
the
about
rich dude.
Yeah, you talk about the casting.
Different, version of it. It's like a great concept, but doing it in a different way.
They're both still billionaire playboy.
It's not as dark.
Come on.
It's not as dark, and it seems more fun.
Obviously not. I know.
Yeah, one of the more widely known things about casting, and I've talked a million times about how one of the best things that Marvel's ever done in the MCU is casting just the right people to play these roles. It has been widely known for several years that one of the people who was in the lead to get the role of Tony Stark was Tom Cruise. Can you imagine now having Tom Cruise in that role? It's like, I mean, after having 20-something movies and 12 years of Robert Downey Jr.
He wouldn't have done them all.
In the role that he may have been born to play. It's like, can you imagine that if we had gotten Tom Cruise in this mess? Oh my God.
No.
Well,
he wouldn't have done them all, I don't think.
We almost had Nicolas Cage as Superman, so just keep that in mind too.
True. Very true.
There are pictures out there.
But there is. It is interesting something that Cora said. The character with the most personal growth over the course of the MCU so far has been Tony. Because he is this, billionaire playboy philanthropist when we first see him, who is he's got way more money than any one person should ever have. And he's essentially a living god,
but he's
at least
also
in his own mind.
Brilliant. And at this point, he's not even using his intellect for good.
He feels he is. Remember, he's not the one selling these weapons to terrorists. It's Obadiah that's doing it. When he finds out this is going on, he immediately is like, "Oh, wait a minute, this is not what I'm trying to do this for. I'm selling weapons to my government to help defend freedom, blah blah blah, or whatever, to help defend the country." So he's doing what he thinks is right. Obadiah is the one that taints that by selling to the Ten Rings and all these other assholes that want to do terroristy shit. It's when he finds this out that kind of is that coming to Jesus moment for him, where he goes, "Wait a minute, maybe I need to rethink kind of everything I've been doing." That and his experience in the cave and so on and so on is that coming to Jesus moment where he finally figures out, "Wait a minute, this is that turning point in my life where I really feel like I should change direction and kind of my overall outlook and what I'm doing." And that's kind of the step one of the Tony Stark that we would see grow over the course of this entire franchise.
Yeah, I agree.
But it also was a fantastic way just to start this entire adventure. I mean, it's like you go on and through it, and you looking back at it now, there's a few Easter eggs and stuff like that. Coulson first introduces himself as the Strategic Homeland Initiative Defense, whatever the hell it was, and she's trying to repeat it back to him and goes, "Just call it S.H.I.E.L.D." And then as soon as he says S.H.I.E.L.D., you're like, "Oh shit, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s here. That's awesome." And then, of course, it's that post-credit scene with Nick Fury in his living room when he gets home that night that it just sets us all off on this whole path that we've enjoyed so much for the last several years. But yeah, this was a fantastic starting point for this entire franchise. I think this movie is fantastic. I loved it.
I hadn't seen it till after I saw Thor. I had to go back and see it.
Really?
Yeah. I think we started to watch it, or he watched it, but I didn't watch it with him. But I eventually went back and watched it all. But it's just, this movie's Honestly, it would be higher up on my list if it wasn't for two other ones, which I'll reveal later. But, yep, loved it.
Yeah, Iron Man was a great start. I loved it. But now we're on to Jeremy. Jeremy, what's the next movie you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I guess another kind of Iron Man type, Batman type guy. We're gonna go with Black Panther.
Cool. Chad Boseman.
And again, I kind of have to give a shameless shout out to Chadwick Boseman, man. Like, I don't know. I know I watched this one in theater, so I mean, it was amazing watching it in a theater. Probably one of the. It was either that or. Well, no, I watched it in game in theaters. Never mind. I'm trying to remember which one the last one I actually saw in theaters was. But yeah, actually, finally seeing Black Panther get his own movie and get his own, his own little time in the spotlight. Because I think someone also asked me once, like, who's the richest superhero? I was like, I don't know, fucking Batman. They're like, no, it's actually Black Panther. I'm like, oh no, I thought about it. I'm like, oh, I guess that's fair. He's royalty, all this vibranium shit. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's probably fair. I mean, I was like, whatever, I don't care. It's gung ho as about Batman. I'm like, I don't care. That's cool. Black Panther is fucking sweet. And you can't beat one of the greatest characters is fucking Shuri. I don't have to explain her. She's phenomenal. That's kind of like his little like Alfred / Q, like James Bond, kind of like gives him all this shit. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you got to figure he's got all the vibranium, basically all the vibranium in the world in Wakanda. I just looked it up, and it says vibranium is completely fictional yet incredibly expensive material. As this infographic points out, in an issue of 607 of the Fantastic Four, it was priced at $10,000 a gram.
A gram, right?
Wow.
To put that in perspective. Considering Captain America's shield weighs in at 12 pounds, that means his shield is worth a whopping $54 million.
Yeah, so there you go. Just the shield itself.
So just the shield itself is worth $54 million.
You gotta
and
imagine
don't they mention that in WandaVision when they talk about how much vibranium is in Vision?
Oh, Vision.
Like when they're in the office?
Like $3 billion worth of vibranium. We're not just going to let you put it in the ground. It's like, that's a fair point. I mean, shit, how much does Bucky's arm weigh? He got a whole fucking arm with that shit in there.
I don't know.
His arm's got to be
I think it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved it in Winter Soldier real quick when she popped his arm off just to make a point. Like, don't fuck with me. I know where your buttons are.
She like
do you even know she could
pressure
do that?
pointed his ass, and he was just like, "Oh fuck me, what? I didn't know I could do that shit." Like, hold on.
Yeah.
I want to see Bucky just do that and take his arm and just like fucking knock somebody out with it.
Slap
and just,
somebody with
slap
it.
it back on. Just slap it back on. Because like he asked him like, "Did you know she could do that?" And he's just like, "No." Oh, like, right.
He had a look on his face like he was a little kid and someone knocked over the ice cream scoop off his cone. Like, what? What's happening? I need new ice cream now. That's exactly what it looked like. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's
for
funny.
a moment. But Black Panther, I especially liked how they
had a good villain
incorporated
too.
Wakanda in Bucky's story.
The White Wolf.
Thus far, it's been fantastic.
And it's a nice backdrop for the whole Infinity War fucking battle. Again, my God, just have it again. Chadwick Boseman just fucking doing that fucking chant, and then boom, and then they just go for it.
I have a quick question. How did Thanos' people find Vision so fast when they first went to Wakanda and they were working on trying to separate the stone from him? How did they find him so fast? Wakanda's kind of hidden.
It's one of the questions that we don't ask. Again, it's kind
I
of.
was gonna say,
okay.
But then again,
I
think it does say
they were
that
tracking
Thanos is
vibranium,
attracted
right?
to. I think it does say something that Thanos is. He can almost kind of sense the stones or something like that. Didn't somebody say that something like that at some point?
Would maybe the other stones kind of like lead him to it? Maybe
something like that. I don't know.
Because I could have said vibranium, like, but then again, he's in Wakanda. There's vibranium everywhere, so
it just seemed like they got there really fast.
Yeah. Like I said, it's one of those plot holes. You don't ask any questions. You just kind of just be happy that it happened. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You just be happy that it happened, because if not, we wouldn't have got that killer ending of that movie anyway. But ironically enough, this is exactly I put Black Panther as my third favorite as well, so it seems fitting.
We'll share again.
Now, yeah, there was.
Your turn.
I had a feeling there was going to be a lot more crossover between me and Jeremy this time, especially if I was actually trying to rank them out. But look, like I said, I've said it 100 times. Marvel's done some great world building in this universe, and the apex of that world building is what they did with Wakanda and Black Panther. Like if it wasn't for another movie that was actually my number one, me and Jeremy are probably going to share that one too. If it wasn't for another movie that was my number one, this is my second favorite MCU movie, and it's really close between like my top two. And it's not, because it's easy to like ground like Iron Man in modern day LA or New York. It's easy to kind of make it. They also did a good job with Thor actually of kind of building this Asgardian world, but to go into the kind of detail that you did with Wakanda and to build these people, these tribes and all this stuff, it was a masterclass of just putting together this unique environment that you really have never seen before. And even really comic book fans have never really seen this world fleshed out in such detail before, which I think made it even better. But yeah, look
at all the detail they put into just the ceremonies.
Yeah.
And the
costuming. Shit.
Yeah, and the traditions of Wakanda that are so believable within such a short time of introduction. I mean, you just are fully engrossed in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I honestly, for a while, I kind of wondered if Black Panther wasn't my absolute favorite MCU film. But I
saw this opening night in the theater, Frank. You'd be proud.
Oh, so did I.
I did too.
I actually think opening weekend.
Wasn't that cool?
I think I went and saw this twice opening weekend. This movie, and to top it off, all the Marvel films, I think this has by far the best soundtrack. The soundtrack of this movie is just dope as fuck.
I still have a playlist for this soundtrack, mixed with music from 50 Shades of Grey movies, stupid movies but great music. And I listen to it probably once a month. Yeah. Good shit.
This soundtrack is amazing. This movie is amazing. And again, R.I.P. to Chadwick Boseman. There's actually a petition going on right now. Jeremy, I don't know if you heard about this or not. They're trying to petition Disney and Marvel to recast the role of T'Challa instead of just not having him in the second movie, which I still don't understand how they're going to pull that off.
I thought, wait a minute, why don't we, because I want to see this and it'd be amazing. Why don't we just have Shuri become Black Panther? Because she did do that in the comics. I'm like, we could kind of move it on and just.
They pulled it off with Thor and the Valkyrie chick. Couldn't they do that with Black Panther?
I'm like, because that did happen. Like, she did become the Black Panther eventually.
It's, I don't know, I think Thor and Valkyrie, while similar, is still different enough. Because Thor could have, but I think part of it is Thor wanting to run off and kind of find his own place. I think Valkyrie can be a leader like Thor, but different than Thor, and he understands that he needs her kind of leadership right now and not his. I think if they were still in Asgard and they were still, on the Golden City and there was still all this other Asgardian shit happening, that Thor probably would have been the best one. But I think he understands that for where the Asgardians are at, that her leadership is probably more valuable than his kind of leadership.
Okay.
Whereas we're kind of looking at a different situation with Black Panther because, Chadwick Boseman's passed away, unfortunately. You don't want to recast, which I think is a terrible mistake. I think there's... Actually, I was in the process of putting together a video about actors that I think could step in and play T'Challa after, in place of Chadwick Boseman. And I was actually putting that together when they announced that they weren't going to recast him. They just weren't going to have T'Challa in the movie. And I'm kind of like, that's pretty shitty. I don't know.
What about that Michael B. Jordan guy?
That's something that's actually come up. Is there's talk that you can either just kind of like make him T'Challa and just say that he's not that guy from the first movie. That guy's dead, and that's doable. I mean, that's been done before. They did it in
WandaVision with the Pietro guy.
A little bit different, a little bit the same, but it's been done. But I think
it could be done.
I thought there were actually several actors that really could step up.
What about one of the Wayans brothers?
I don't know about them.
Okay.
I think those guys are known too much for their comedy stuff. I don't know if you could get them to come in here and play a regal warrior like T'Challa. I don't know that you can pull that off. I'm not saying they couldn't. I've been surprised before, but that's not what I'm thinking. And on top of that, I don't know if they'd want to do it. I think they mostly do a lot of producing and stuff now anyway. They don't do as much acting as they once did. So, I don't know. I mean, if I was them and they came to me and said, "Hey, you want to be T'Challa?" I wouldn't be able to sign that thing fast enough. But because who wouldn't want to at least give it a try? You know what I mean? But yeah, I really do hope that they kind of. I don't know. It might be too late because they've got to start filming it at some point this year to make their next release date. So I don't know. We're gonna have to see what goes on with Black Panther. But yeah, like I said, the world building of this is amazing.
Is it going to be a movie or a miniseries?
It's gonna be a movie.
Okay.
It's gonna be part of Phase 4.
I was gonna say, can we end this and give this with a little Wakanda Forever?
Wakanda. Bam.
Just for Chadwick.
Just for Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace, Chadwick. You know, I found it really weird because he got diagnosed with his disease, his cancer, right about the time that he got cast as Black Panther.
And Civil War, right?
So yeah, so they knew very early
That's
on
incredible.
that he had it.
Unless he didn't tell them.
No, he told them. It actually came out that it actually came out that he was upfront with Kevin Feige and told them. So what I kind of thought in the initial days after his death, you know, obviously we were just, you know, dealing with his death at first, but once the talk went from that to how does the MCU move forward with this character, it kind of occurred to me that Kevin Feige being kind of smart, and with Chadwick Boseman probably being really having a very personal stake in this role, you know, being the first big-time black superhero to really carry his own film, that if they both knew that he had cancer early on, they might have had some contingency plan in place for if the worst happens while we're in the middle of working with my character in this franchise, how are we going to do that? Maybe we'll have somebody kind of not signed and not cast, and maybe we're in talks with somebody to say, hey, if this happens, maybe you can pay close attention. We're gonna give you the scripts, but just keep them, sign the NDAs and all that. But just know that if this bad thing happens, that we really hope that you'll step into that role. So watch what Chadwick does with it. Watch the writing and how he's acting and stuff like that, so that you can seamlessly kind of transition into the role, and it won't be such a big shock. And on top of that, it wouldn't screw with your. They
could have easily done something with that Ant-Man thing where they accidentally make you younger, and just find some guy who's like 2 years younger than him who looks enough like him, and say he's like a 20-year-old version of him.
Well, the problem is though, is you're going to run into the same problem that Disney ended up running into with Carrie Fisher after she passed away. It's like you had all these options and nobody liked any of them. It's like it really is kind of a no-win situation for them. And the way, and that's kind of how I compare these two situations is, like the thing with Carrie Fisher is, you could have done some CGI stuff, and nobody was about that. It's like, oh well, maybe we recast her, which was actually kind of my personal preference for what you could have done with it. I think there was plenty of actresses out there that were friends with Carrie Fisher and know the property and how important it is to people, that they would have come in there and they would have treated the role with a great amount of respect. Not just because it's an important role, but because to honor Carrie Fisher and her memory and everything that she had meant to the franchise over 4 decades now. But instead they decided to go the way that they did, and I'm fine with it. But again, it was one of those situations where you were never going to satisfy everybody. No matter what you did, 75% of the fans were going to hate the idea of it. So you may as well just do the best you can and move forward with it, kind of fit it in, make it as seamless as possible, and hope for the best. It's kind of the same thing with Chadwick Boseman. It's like nobody really wants. I mean, you can't really see anybody else in this role after Chadwick plays it even one time. So it's like, do you recast it? I mean, yeah, there's probably some people that would do good, but it's still not Chadwick Boseman. So a lot of people are going to go, I mean, look at how much shit we're giving this new Captain America for not being Steve Rogers.
I was about to say that, but I'm like, well, aren't we supposed to hate him though? Like, it's a little different.
It's a different
situation.
It's
more about them replacing him, period, in the plot line, not so much them recasting the actor. For me,
true. But again, you kind of get to this point where some people want recast, some people just want the character to end. Some people want this. Some people want Shuri to take over. Some people want Michael B. Jordan to... There is apparently some idea out there that's floating around, and I don't know if we're really going to know anything about it until the movie's getting ready to come out, that Michael B. Jordan's character of Eric Killmonger didn't actually die, or that T'Challa put him in stasis and hoping to find some way to save him, blah, 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 that he might come back to life and see the error of his ways, and he'll take over as the Black Panther. I don't know that I like that very much. I don't know. I feel like his death is less meaningful if you do that.
Okay.
But we're gonna.
Okay.
I don't know. We're gonna see.
Oh, I know, he's a secret twin. There's the answer.
What's
He's a
that?
secret twin. Chadwick Boseman's character is a secret twin hidden away somewhere.
But then you have to have Chadwick Boseman to play the twin.
Right.
No, a twin of Michael B. Jordan.
Oh well, I don't know. That's kind of crappy. You already established that he was the only child of T'Chaka's brother anyway. So
Yeah.
unless you want to do some serious retconning of some stuff you've already put out there, that would be kind of hard to pull off. But,
Okay.
We need Black Panther: Days of Future Past. Right now.
The Marvel Cinematic Fake Death Universe. You gotta love it. But yeah, that's Black Panther. Absolutely, yeah. One of the best things that Marvel's probably ever gonna do is this movie, and I love it to death.
Nice.
But let's see who's Miss Cora. You're up next.
Cora.
What's the second favorite movie in the MCU to you?
The Punisher from 2004 with.
Nice.
Why am I blanking on his name?
I was like, it's not John Bernthal. I don't remember the fucking old guy's name.
No, the main guy who plays him. It's not showing up on IMDb.
Yeah, the original dude. I don't remember his name.
Did you tell me
Thomas
Punisher?
Jane. Thomas Jane. No, I changed it.
Well, damn it. I don't have graphics for that.
Well-
Anyway, it's Punisher.
Well, while she talks, just get a picture of the skull real quick.
So this movie, this might have been the first Marvel movie I saw ever. I don't know, because I did see the first Hulk movie. I don't know the order of those. But anyways, the Punisher, I just the story was just so sad about his family dying, and I like John Travolta in some of his older stuff, and he rarely plays a bad guy. So this movie stood out to me. It's like John Travolta's playing the fucking bad guy. This is great, and I've always been drawn to kind of like the mafia stories, and the way his wife, says "kill them all." It was just pretty cool. And setting up, I love how he went back and set up the guy's wife with his security guy who happened to be gay, so he would murder them all. And it was poetic justice. And the three people he befriended at that apartment building, that whole was kind of like a redemptive experience. It just is one of those like tearjerker emotional, like go get him, shoot him up, but love the whole thing about it. It made me I never did it, but watching this movie, it made me want to start reading comic books, but I never did. But I was planning my wedding that year, so I was a little busy. But yes, I know, Jeremy. I know, 2004. I know.
I won't talk about it. It's okay. I got you.
It's just one of those that grabbed me, and when you opened it up to all movies that were Marvel, and I looked at the list, like, holy shit, I get to put Punisher on my list. So, the woman who played his wife, I forget her name.
Hell.
She was only in there for a little bit, and they're doing the cast weird on the IMDb. I don't know why, but anyways, and the woman who plays John Travolta's wife, Laura Herring, she was great. And just the visuals, the fire scenes, the shoot 'em up scenes, and the soundtrack was so dramatic, or the score, was so dramatic. The hardest part of the movie to watch was when the one guy was being tortured to say where he was, and he was under the floor. That was hard to watch, but the very end when they open up the cupboard and see the piles of money, that was kind of pretty cool that he thought well to look after them and help them. And it was the beginning of the Punisher, really going out and try to be vigilante. So
Samantha Mathis is the one that plays his wife. I don't know why I forgot that name. I've always had kind of a low-key celebrity crush on her, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, she's beautiful, and she's a beautiful voice, very comforting. Beautiful smile too. Very great casting. I never saw any of the other Punisher movies after this because I liked this one so much and I didn't want to be disappointed by them. Not gonna lie.
Well, have you
Love
seen
it.
the Netflix show?
No.
The Netflix show is so fucking good. It is. As I really do like the Thomas Jane one. As far as all the Punisher movies that have come out, the Thomas Jane one is by far the best. But the Punisher TV show with John Bergthal that was on Netflix, and Jeremy will attest to this, that show is all kinds of fucking good. Because once again, it kind of, because it was all dealt with inside. It technically takes place in the MCU, even though it doesn't have anything to do with it. But because it was organized by the same people, they really do. You really do get a lot deeper into his character, and they also focus a lot more on the PTSD after he comes back from his time overseas doing stuff for the government, things like that. Not just his time with the government, but the fact that he did some kind of crazy things for the government. He was part of it. Yeah, he's part of a super awesome wet team that did all kinds of crazy shit.
Well, I just loved the movie. I hated seeing the scene when his wife and child got killed, and but it all leads up to what happens. But
yeah, if you get a chance, you absolutely should go check out the.
I'll look it up. I'll add it to my Netflix playlist. Wandi suggested a show on Netflix that I finished and liked, so I'm looking for something.
It's only 2 seasons. I think each season goes 10 or 12 episodes, somewhere around there, maybe 12. But yeah, it's so fucking good. Actually, a lot of the Marvel stuff that was on Netflix. What's going on, Randy Viper? See you in the chat, buddy. The Netflix stuff is actually really good. Daredevil and Punisher are by far the 2 best shows that Marvel did on Netflix. I liked Luke Cage's first season. The second season got off to a good start, but it ended really, really not so great for me. And then, of course, they canceled it. They canceled all the Netflix stuff. Jessica Jones was okay, and the Iron Fist I thought was okay, but not great. I still haven't even watched the last season of Jessica Jones yet because they canceled it before they even released it. So I was kind of like, why bother? But I'll sit down and watch that eventually. But yeah, I mean, the Daredevil series and the Punisher series are fucking amazing. And the Defenders TV show is kind of like the street level Avengers. That's actually really good too. I thought that was done pretty well.
Defenders, you say?
Look, I was gonna say at least watch it. Okay. At least watch it for Kristen Ritter because she's hot as fuck. I'm sorry.
Ooh, should I keep it in my laptop? But yeah,
I got a mild crush on her.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love her aesthetic. That's that whole thin, dark, fucking gothic-looking chick. I'm all for it. Sorry.
And there's also some really good actors in that stuff too. It's like, yeah, Rosario Dawson plays their version of the Night Nurse from the comic books. It's all done very, very well. I really liked it. The Defender stuff was really good. Like I said, Jessica Jones, meh, not great. I thought it was okay. Iron Fist could have been a little bit better. The other stuff was really, really good though. But we do have a donation that came in just a few minutes ago.
Ooh,
Miss Betty White.
Oh boy.
Play the donation. Why is this thing lag so bad on donations? I cannot figure that out. They're not paused. I don't know why it's not playing. I have no idea why this thing does not want to play donations as fast as I want it to play. They're not
because
paused.
You want it to do something. Your computer hates you. What
My computer does hate me. I think that's probably what it is. But anyway, Betty White threw in a couple of bucks. Thank you, Betty White. It's a great show tonight, Frank. Keep up the good work. Great show because of not anything to do with me. It's my co-hosts. My co-hosts are absolutely the fucking best. I could not ask for better people to do this.
Well, you kind of do set up all the work and do all the work.
Man, don't give yourself some credit.
Well, I'm no good alone.
We just sit here and bullshit. Like you're the one pulling all the strings here.
Well, I'm no good alone. It's like I can sit here and say stuff. And then it's just like I can throw it to Jeremy who adds something, then to Cora who adds something, and then I can add something to that. That's what causes the back and forth.
It's a discussion.
If it's not for somebody who I like to talk with being around here and having the conversation with me, I'm like, I like this movie. Okay, thanks for watching. Like my stream. Bye.
That's right.
It's one thing to do like
Hey.
I'll try over the course of the summer to get into doing some of these shorter stuff like Drew does during the week on his channel of only about more entertainment stuff. So it's one thing to like go into a few thoughts and do like a 5-minute video, but if I'm really trying to go for like an hour or something like that talking about a specific topic, I got nothing. I'm way better when I've got somebody around that can actually.
Although I have to say,
go
it was
back and
cute
forth.
watching you and Jen do the thing about Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah,
That was cute.
She needs to get more comfortable on camera. I'm hoping to do some stuff with her later on this summer too. I've got this idea about
Nice.
like a Jennifer picks like a dinner movie date kind of thing, and I'll just let her pick whatever terrible movie she wants to watch. We'll watch it, review it. So there's something that's something
I
I'm
like
looking,
it.
something
But
I'm looking at
maybe
doing.
when you approach her with it, take the word terrible out of that sentence.
No. Every movie she likes is terrible.
Frank, I'm trying to help you.
Every movie she likes is terrible.
Oh boy, she liked Wonder Woman
She didn't
84.
like Wonder. No, I told her. I said, if you want to watch some terrible chick flick and review it, we can do it. We can do a half hour on some terrible movie that you love and that I am.
I know you could watch Just Like Heaven with Mark Ruffalo, who played the Hulk,
I could.
and Reese Witherspoon.
I'll do like what is it? 13 going on 30. It's a funny movie. I'll do that one.
Do you know what we should do? I should watch the same movie with Dan, and Jeremy can watch the same movie with his girlfriend, and Jeremy and I can represent for both of our spouses, and we can all talk about the same chick flick
Cool. Possible.
with Jen and you.
Hey, we can look into that.
Jeremy is so excited.
Let's get the spouses
He
involved.
can't wait.
Let's get the significant others involved. That sounds like fun.
Yes, even if it's just to watch the movie with us, and then we talk about it with Frank and Jen. What do you think, Jeremy? Come on, say yes.
Well, look at that. Look who just messaged me.
And I know how to
mean-
talk to her on Twitter, so I can actually message her and tell her this.
Oh, that's slightly terrifying now. Alright, well. God damn
So
it.
just say I'll think about it.
And
I'll be good with
there's
that.
more stalker talk from Cora.
Oh boy,
But
we will talk
Sure
about how I
ain't-
took pictures.
Yeah, like
of-
Shuri took pictures of us. Y'all didn't see that happen.
Okay, that sounds bad. To be fair, okay. After we ended a show earlier, this
Explain
week,
yourself.
Jeremy was with his girlfriend on cam off the show, and they were just standing next to each other, and they looked really cute standing there. So I pulled my cell phone out and took a picture of my computer screen, and I sent it to them. I didn't post it anywhere, and his girlfriend said, "quote Oh, that is a cute picture of us." So I wasn't really stalking.
I didn't know you were doing it, so it felt a little stalkerish. I actually had no idea. I'm just over here enjoying my fucking moment, and then I realized you were sitting there like, right there. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing that.
Sorry, Jeremy.
couple people in the chat putting their opinions in here. Let's see. Bullseye said, Iron Man. He never understood why he was in the leadership role. That was more suited for Captain America. That role was supposed to be Captain America's spot because he was supposed to be the protagonist. I thought, well, they're all kind of protagonists, but I think even at one point, Civil War? Actually, somebody calls Tony Stark boss, and he goes, or the leader, the boss, and he goes, no, he's the boss, and he points over to Captain America. He says, I'm just the guy that pays for everything and makes everybody look great. So I think even Tony realizes that they all kind of play their roles, but like the moral center of the Avengers as a unit was Captain America by far. TSS
Mathis.
says, what's that?
Sorry, I say a while back. Matheson Monroe said his movies were Iron Man, Guardians, Deadpool, and maybe Venom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd put Venom in any of my top 10s for Marvel, but this next Venom movie's got me certainly very excited. TSS,
I saw that, Jeremy.
Yeah, TSS in the chat said he agrees with me. Luke Cage season 1 was great. He thought Jessica Jones season 1 was fine, but the best thing about the show was David Tennant as the villain. Absolutely.
Someone say it, someone say it, someone say it.
Absolutely. He by far steals that entire first season. And I remember
phenomenal.
the last episode, I was like, really? You're going to kill him now? I was like, he's carrying this fucking show. Because I like Jessica Jones' character, but I'm like, he is the focal point of this whole thing. Killing him now is just a dumb idea.
Didn't they also say, like, he actually, like, scared the fucking, like, crew? Because he played that character so fucking well, they thought, oh my god, this guy could be a serial killer for real.
David Tennant's
like,
a beast.
yeah.
David Tennant is
Yes,
an
I
absolute
know.
beast.
There's a reason why he's considered, like, everyone's favorite doctor in Doctor Who. there's a reason why he plays fucking Barty Crouch Jr. so well in Harry Potter. This dude is no joke. Like,
Yeah, he is.
Anything he's in, I'm game.
Yeah, he is just so damn good. But yeah, he was by far the best thing in season 1, and he does like make little cameos in season 2 as Jessica Jones is having like flashbacks. He's like her subconscious or something. So he pops in here and there, but not nearly enough to help carry the show the way he did in the first season. Yeah, I was really disappointed when they killed him in the first season. But let's move on. I think we're on to number 2 now, right?
Can I read a Wandy's top 5?
Yeah,
Can I read a Wandy's top 5?
Yeah.
He says my MCU top 5 are number 1, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, number 2, Infinity War, number 3, Endgame, number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy, and number 5, Civil War. So he said the same movie for 1 and 2. No, Civil War and Winter Soldier are separate ones. Yeah, I know he's a big Captain America Bucky person. So those were his. And then TSS, did you read his already from way back? Top 5 Marvel films are
I don't believe so.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Spider-Man 2, Logan, and then Infinity War.
I have a feeling we're going to be talking about at least one of those movies coming up. but we're going to start with, I believe it's Cora's now. Time to give us her. Is it your number 2 now, Cora? Is that what we're on?
It's my last one.
Your last one. Okay.
I think.
So what was the last movie you gave us? Oh, Punisher. That's right. So Jeremy, we're on you now. What's your number 2?
God damn, it's been fucking...
He doesn't love you tonight.
We've gone off on so many tangents talking about so much shit. It's easy to get lost in all this.
To be fair, Jeremy, I thought it was my turn again too when he nudged.
I did too, honestly. I was like, wait, isn't it No, wait. we had Punisher and somehow ended. Oh, I know, because
I swear, Frank's running a professional show. Jeremy and I are just fucking it up.
I am very much not. I am very
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, we're just here fucking off, and he's the one.
You.
All right.
Go ahead, Jeremy. Give us your number 2 film.
All right. Well, I guess the kind of way I did this now, I kind of see how this would be. How I would have ranked my 5 if I had to at last minute. Because it'd feel like a cop out, but I have to have my top spot saved. So my number 2 pick is Endgame.
Cool.
I mean, what a fucking way to end this shit, right? Because again, I mean, that was what, the first couple of minutes? I was strapped the fuck in and ready to go, and Captain America says, let's get this son of a bitch. I'm like, let's fucking do it, let's go. And, you know, like Thor said, man, I went for the fucking head. And then after that, I'm kind of like, all right, well, that was quick. That was like 20 minutes. Now what do we do? I was kind of like, wait, what are we going to do for the next 3 fucking hours? Like, hello? And I know Frank's going to say this. I already know he's going to say it. You know, it's a big fetch quest, and then it really comes down to it gets pretty fucking real. You know what I mean? I get it. But, however, all this setup, because I don't just say setup just as a movie. I mean, just setup from this last 10, 12 years, whatever the fuck it was, all this time. To see it culminate in this kind of a moment, like I said, all those portals opening up, fucking grabbing that goddamn hammer and saying "Avengers Assemble." I mean, holy shit, chills. It's worth waiting up to that point and finally seeing everyone come together. Because how many times? I mean, I think they said like they didn't want anyone filming anything like behind the scenes or on set because I know it's all a lot of hush hush. And I don't remember who did it. I feel like it was Chris Pratt, but he's just doing like this quick little pan. It's like all the green screen, everyone's like, but it's literally everyone is actually there. Like all the actors are in this one shot, and he's just like looking around. Like he's like, look, I have to say something about this. This is amazing that all these people are all here at this time. You know what I mean? Like how cool would that be to have just even be involved in that and have see something like that happen?
Yeah, that's very true.
Cora, like I said, you just recently saw this for the first time. How did
Less
this
than
movie hit
24
you?
hours ago.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. When the portals first opened, I first realized what you guys had mentioned, and then my second thought was I looked at Dan and I go, "Oh, this is the MCU's version of Lord of the Rings: Five Armies." Okay, massive
this
battle for the fate of the
Frodo
universe.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a little, like I said, I didn't understand who all the people were because there was so much happening at once. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it on pause, scene by scene. But I was just mad. I'll be honest. I was mad that Thanos found out. Why couldn't they have just snapped? This is my one critique. I think they should have skipped the Thanos battle with Thanos from the earlier time. I think they should have left him behind, have him not know anything, let him be dead in the present, and literally show us when people snap back what happened, instead of leaving everybody wondering until WandaVision. But I guess everybody wanted a Thanos battle again. I don't know. Maybe I'm a weirdo for saying all this, but why did we have to have another Thanos battle? They already fucking killed him.
There is a big difference between the Thanos that we get in Infinity War and the Thanos that we get in Endgame. And I don't just mean that they kill that version that we got in the first movie and then we get a younger version that time travels forward in the second movie. It gets, like, if you think about some of the things that Thanos said, it's like what he wants to do in Infinity War is snap away half the galaxy or half the universe, or whatever he wants to do. Snap away half of living things in the universe so that the other half can maybe
thrive better, not
longer.
wait for resources.
Now he talks. Now as he's sitting there having that conversation with Tony and Thor and whoever else was there and Cap, he says to himself, he's like, he says, I want to thank you. I realized that just snapping away
his mistake.
It's just snapping away half of existence won't be enough. I have to snap away everything and recreate this all in my image of what I want. So that's the biggest difference, is the stakes, as if half of all living things in the universe isn't a high enough stake. Now you are trying to save everything. Every living creature in the universe depends on you.
Why do we even have to go through all that? Wouldn't it have been more interesting to see people coming back and the emotional stuff? A lot of the stuff that we didn't even get a glimpse at from WandaVision. I mean, we just barely touched on it.
They did in Spider-Man. Everybody coming back.
Oh, I didn't see that, so I don't have that experience yet. But
it was in Homecoming.
So did you think it needed a battle if they were going to have a second movie?
Well, yeah, it's necessary. You got to push the story along somewhere. I mean, you have to have that. You have to have that battle in Infinity War for Thanos to win.
And I guess they have to find a way to kill Tony. So,
well, you have to find a way to do whatever you want to do. But I mean, bottom line is you have to make the way that things wrap up for people. It all has to be meaningful. So then you snap everybody back, and you finally have. I mean, because think about it, the battle that we got in Endgame compared to the battle that we got in Infinity War they were happening in two different places. So you've got.
It reminded me. It reminded me more of the battle when Thanos first came to Earth in the Avengers.
Well, he didn't come to Earth. He gave part of his army to Loki, and Loki tried some shit, and the Avengers took care of that. Now compared to the first Avengers, I mean, we got one platoon in the first Avengers compared to the entire fucking. I'm bringing everything in Endgame. I mean, so we didn't see a drop of what Thanos really had at his disposal in Avengers. That's just what he gave Loki to use. And on top of that, that wasn't meant to be the biggest battle. That was meant to just kind of be a harbinger of what was to come. Now,
gotcha. So this actually was building up, and it really needed to happen, and I get it.
And that's one of the hard things about making movies, the way that they're trying to make these, is like you have to make sure that there's a build. You can't have this battle be so much bigger than the final battle, or else it's not going to feel right. You know what I mean? And that was one of the great things I thought about that scene where you get that one moment where Captain America is standing by himself against this entire army, because that's the turning point of the film right there. And then you hear him, then you hear Sam say, "On your left," portals open up, and then it's all hands on deck, and that's the big ultimate fight scene that we have been building up to for 12 years and 20-something movies.
Did you read what TSS just wrote in the chat? Up to that point, I have never cried during a film in a movie theater till I watched the end of Endgame. LOL.
I have never cried at a movie. I've come close 4 times. Never cried, though. Only 4 times have ever got me close.
What were the 4 movies?
When Han Solo died.
Uh-huh.
That would have gotten me had they not telegraphed it so fucking bad. I honestly, as soon as he walks onto the Millennium Falcon with Chewie, and he says, "Chewie, we're home," and I'm like, "Oh Jesus Christ, he's gonna die. He's gonna die." But again, I mean, I seriously, I love that moment, but as soon as I got done absorbing it, I was like, yeah, this guy's not making it out of this movie. He's going to die.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I mean, knowing what I know, that Harrison Ford had always wanted Han Solo to die anyway, that there was never really a plan for him to be around for all three of the original films. And that it was actually Spielberg was just like, wait a minute, your character's actually kind of popular after the first movie came out. Maybe we don't want to kill you.
You're bankable, dude.
Yeah, because I think Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to die in Empire rather than to be frozen in carbonite. And George Lucas was like, you're selling a shit ton of action figures, buddy. You're awfully popular. We need to keep you going for just another movie. And then they ended up not killing him at all. And actually, I think, if I've read it right, I think one of the ways that, because I don't think he was too keen about coming back to play it in the new trilogy either, but I think that one of the stipulations to him coming back and playing Han Solo in The Force Awakens was that his character dies. He wanted to be done with the
I think you're right.
And I think it was done very well. But like I said, it telegraphed it really, really bad. So while I could feel, in a way, that lightsaber piercing my own chest, I was kind of like, oh, I'm actually watching him die on screen. It was telegraphed very poorly. I saw it coming for like an hour and a half.
What are the other three?
The other one was at the end of season 3 of Stranger Things. The last couple of minutes as they're all getting ready to leave town. That almost got me. Because I was about that age when I moved from California here to Ohio. So I kind of understood like the whole leaving behind everything you've ever known thing. That part almost got me emotional. And I'm an 80s kid. I just love everything 80s. The other 2 times were both in Avengers movies.
That's telling.
Tony's death came close. I had a feeling
that one got me.
We all kind of knew he was going to die anyway. My question was, how is it going to happen? My question was,
Dan didn't tell me.
I knew it was going to happen. I was 100% certain that Tony and or Cap were going down. I was 100% certain. This had to be the end of their journeys for not just because we've gotten so many movies of these guys anyway, contracts are up, but you have to move the story along if you want to go into phase 4, 5, and 6. And you can't necessarily do it unless you bring in kind of a fresh crop of people. And for that to happen, some of the older guys got to go. And Robert Downey Jr., I mean, he's in his 50s now. He can't do Tony Stark forever. And Chris Evans...
Well, he's always got that kid in the garage that he set up with the, the tech. He's got...
But Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. have to go away, so he had to die.
Yeah.
I didn't know what. I didn't
he
know.
Even,
go ahead.
Didn't he even say that in Endgame, where he like pointed at Captain Marvel? He's like, "Look, you young girl, like you're new." He's like, "We're the old mules. Like this is not, He's like, "We need more people like you." I'm like, did he say that?
There was a little bit of foreshadowing to it, a little bit.
Well, there was a little foreshadowing too. When Tony was sitting on the couch with Pepper, when he first figured out the formula for doing the quantum shit for time travel, he says, something in me is telling me just to bury it and leave it alone. And looking back, I think he was realizing that might be some bad news for him.
Well, I don't think he's afraid of what could happen. I think he knows that you've already lost what you've lost. He lost Peter. He lost the fight with Thanos. It's like, I could get this back, or I could lose everything that I still have left. What do I want to get this stuff back more than I want to not lose what I have? Because despite the fact that he got his ass kicked by Thanos, he ended up not being able to stop him. Tony actually came out pretty clean on the other end. I mean, we don't really know if Happy got snapped off or not because they don't really say it. But he obviously gets Pepper in the end. He has his daughter in the end and has a family that he wanted. I mean, if you really think about it, other than just losing the fight, Tony came out pretty well. But he does feel a little bit of kind of survivor's guilt about the whole thing. So
Happy didn't get snapped.
It doesn't say one way or the other. I'm assuming that he didn't. No.
Didn't he say that in Far From Home? When Aunt May came back, he's like, "Yeah, you like this? This is my my bullet beard." Where the fuck he goes, like, "Yeah, I've been growing it since then." I was like,
"No, I don't know. I must have missed that line. It's been a while."
I think he said some one-off about it. He said some one-off about his beard, like he'd been growing it since then. I was like, "Oh, so he didn't get snapped."
Okay. So maybe he didn't get snapped. I don't know. It never really said in any other movies, so I don't know. But and the other one, and I think this is by far the most underrated scene in all of Marvel movies, is Black Widow sacrificing herself for the Soul Stone. When I first saw that in theaters, I really badly wanted to rewind it and watch that entire scene again, because there's this idea of it's one thing to fight and knowing that you could die for the cause, but it's like her and Hawkeye are fighting each other, knowing that if you win the fight, you're going to die and sacrifice yourself. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't understand how people have not looked at that scene and recognized it for being so much better than what it really is, from what they really think.
This is for the fate of half the fucking universe.
They're fighting each other to sacrifice themselves for the stone.
That was the hardest. That was the hardest death to watch.
And I remember as I'm watching the scene the first time I'm processing this, I'm like, who do I want to win/lose? I don't know.
Right.
There is no way that I can leave this and not feel personally affected and not feel like I've suffered a great loss. And Natasha, going all the way back to the line in the Avengers where she talks about having too much red in her ledger. It's like in that moment you really do feel like she says to herself, this is the way that I can guarantee that I erase all that red in my ledger. This is the thing that I can do to make all that to make up for all of that stuff that I did before I realized that I was actually a good guy, not a bad guy.
And also the reality is he has kids and a wife. Yeah, she and Smart Hulk, as we now call him, I guess,
Professor Hulk.
have a thing.
Yeah.
But they don't have kids. They're not married. I mean, and if it worked, his wife and kids would come back to him being gone. It makes more sense for her to go.
It's not about what makes more sense. It's that both of them are willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Now you can approach this logically if you want, and that's fine. You're not wrong. Everything you said is perfectly logical, and I agree. But neither one of them want to let the other one sacrifice themselves.
But Frank, it'd be like you and I being at that thing. I don't have kids. You have kids. I would go before you.
But the flip side is that I would. The flip side is I would still not want you to sacrifice yourself because I understand what's at stake too, and I am also the hero, and I also do not want my friend to die. That's the weird dichotomy about that whole scene.
Yeah,
it's like in the moment, nothing else matters except for who's going to win this battle.
Look what happens with Gamora and I forget her boyfriend's name from Guardians. What's his name?
Star-Lord?
Yeah.
Like intergalactic fucking space thief? You never heard of him?
I forgot his name. Okay, I'm sorry. But it's like
Star-Lord.
When he's supposed to shoot her and he has a moment I think before Thanos would have been able to stop it, and he just can't do it.
But could you so easily pull the trigger?
Well, Dan and I paused and I looked at Dan and I go, Dan, this sounds really cold, but I would be able to shoot you.
We're going to have a talk here for a minute.
I can't.
We got to talk about this for a second.
I can't think of
he
anybody.
Would not be able to shoot me.
I can't think of anybody who, in that position, whether they would do it or not, wouldn't hesitate for a moment, just because the fragile mental psyche of human beings wouldn't be able to process it all that fast. I mean, even the coldest.
Thanos know?
Even the coldest
person. He would have
person.
To sacrifice someone.
No.
Well, again. Remember how hard that had to be on Wanda just to even kill Vision.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, thinking back on the scene, I wonder if he did. Because
that's why I'm wondering.
Because he goes up there with Gamora, and then Red Skull says you have to sacrifice something, and that's when he actually does have that moment of realization where I have to sacrifice this.
2 tears pop out,
and he does feel some sadness over it, but he is very committed to what he's trying to do. So he says, if this is the sacrifice I have to make, then this is the one I make. And even he kind of hesitates in the moment. So as committed as he is to what he's doing, even he's very hesitant to actually do it, but he ultimately decides. He says, I'm sorry, little one, but I have to do this. And then he grabs her by the arm.
Well, she's betrayed him, and he's, and that bothers him too. But I don't think he would have. I don't know.
It still had to be someone you actually love. So I'm like, he genuinely loved Gamora. That's the thing that hurt. Is like I don't want to have to do this, but this is how it has to go.
Yeah.
Well, he spent centuries not getting his dick wet, focusing on Infinity Stones. He's not going to give two shits about his daughter at the end of the day.
Hey, I'm not saying that he didn't pull over at Tortuga every now and again and get his dick wet. You know what I mean?
You don't
think?
Do we even have any backstory if Thanos even had a wife or ever?
Actually,
well, no. Didn't he just take Gamora from her planet?
Gamora, yes, but isn't the other girl, all mechanical, her sister,
the robot chick?
Yeah, isn't that actually Thanos'? That's Thanos' actual daughter, right?
Oh, I thought he just collected daughters out of the universe.
No, I think she's actually, Thanos' daughter. But anyway, off another wild tangent we've gone for the last 20 minutes. But
yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so Jeremy, that was your number 2, right? Was Endgame?
Yes.
Okay. But so those are the times that I've almost cried at movies and never actually done it because I'm not that soft. Maybe as I get older, my emotions. Maybe as I get older, my emotions start to get me a little more. Maybe one movie will get me.
Or maybe one of these quote terrible chick flicks will make you cry.
I cry at chick flicks. I laugh at chick flicks. They're terrible.
I'm gonna team up with Jen in some DMs and see if we can come up with one that might pull your heart. Drew, one of his favorite movies is that one where the girl dies. A Walk to Remember. That might make you cry.
No, it's because Drew's soft.
Oh my god.
That's because Drew's a big vagina. Anyway.
Oh boy.
Tell him I said it. I don't even care. Stupid Derail.
I don't have to.
I don't want him to hear me.
That's all right. Sure. Derail. Go check it out in the comments below, in the description below. Go check out Derail on Sundays. But my second favorite movie, and honestly, if it wasn't for lumping them in, this is probably my favorite MCU movie, is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now, I've said it before, I'm a sucker for political thrillers, and that's kind of what Captain America became. That became the theme of his standalone movies, is political thrillers. But damn, you finally get the introduction of Bucky as the Winter Soldier. There is that reveal moment where Steve finds out that the Winter Soldier is actually Bucky. There is that fun little...
Before you go further, can I ask you a quick question?
What?
Did Captain America fuck that up by whispering into the other Captain America's ear, "Bucky's alive"?
My guess is no, because he hits him with the staff. So
okay,
that's true.
Sorry to.
So
that was just something I was going to ask and I forgot.
But then again, the whole point of Endgame was pure plot holes. I mean, there's plot holes galore, but it doesn't matter. It's plot holes and fan service, but it doesn't matter because the payoff was so fantastic in the last 45 to that movie.
That was his Martha moment to get the fight to fucking stop. He's like, wait, why'd you say that name? Boop! Got him.
Yeah, but
that is America's ass.
You get a good amount of Nick Fury, which is great. You get that playful flirtiness that kind of goes on without starting a relationship between Natasha and Steve. It's great when superheroes have to fight bad guys that aren't super, and they still give them a run for their money. So that's one of the things I like most about the Shield director in this movie, is that he has no superpowers, he has no super suit, he has no nothing, but he has so much power, pure political and evil power, that the superhero can't just walk up to him, punch him, and then deal with it like that. He is a significant bad guy at a level that most superheroes don't have to deal with. We're so used to seeing a superhero fight a supervillain. It's weird powers against weird powers, and that's kind of how it all goes. But when it's just some
Superman
regular guy,
Batman.
when it's just some regular guy giving the superhero a run for his money, I think that's actually very, very awesome. And this by far is my favorite MCU specific film.
And Awandi would agree with you.
Well, it's because Awandi's smart. TSS thinks I'd have to do Drew like that, but whatever. I ain't afraid of Drew. I actually still have to send. Got a bottle of liquor here I've been meaning to send him for like 4 months now. It's still sitting up here on top of my shelf, so I need to put in a box and send it to Drew. That's all right. I'll send him liquor. He'll get over it. But Cora, what did you think of Captain America: The Winter Soldier?
I really liked it. I liked all the Captain America movies in general. I liked Civil War up until the end where they started fighting. I liked the Bucky part. If I could say I liked the first part and the second part, I just didn't like them fighting each other. I mean, that was really hard to watch.
It was called Civil War.
Jeremy.
I'm just like
They should have named it. They should have named it Friendly Fire. Okay, Civil War infers that they're people who are already at war with each other.
I mean, but it's a war within the same. That's the kind of.
I know, but it's too hard.
Look,
to watch.
I mean, that's
Captain America.
See, you're emotionally invested. You hate seeing these characters fight each other. That
it was really hard, and then it was
seeing
Bucky and Captain America, and them trying to convince him. It just was tough, and was like, it was emotionally difficult to watch. I liked the Bucky introduction, 120%. I'm not a big fan of the Sam character in that movie. He just came off really like pushy and abrasive. I don't know.
Well, he hasn't been
maybe
properly
he just having
introduced
a stick
at
up
this
his
point
ass.
yet either.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. It just was hard to watch. I love Zemo's character being introduced.
We're talking about Winter Soldier now, right? And not Civil War anymore.
Oh, I get him mixed up. Fuck.
You almost did slip. You almost said Falcon Winter Soldier. Like, wait.
I almost did, but I caught myself.
I caught you. Almost had an F, and I it's a Falcon Winter Soldier.
I'll be quiet. I'm confused. Yes, I generally like them all. There are some I don't like. There's your. Okay.
But and Robert Redford. I mean, that guy is just so freaking good. I mean,
yeah, that was a sneak. That was a sneak in that he did comic book. I was like so impressed. And then he turns out to be a fucking bad guy. Like, come on, that's fucking cool. Heel turn, love it, loved it. And the whole Hydra thing, I loved in Endgame when Captain America uses their information when he's back in time and he whispers, "Hail Hydra," to be able to, get out with the goods. That just made me laugh and made me go back to that movie. So I think I'm not mixing them up at this point, but
Well, you actually just bowled through like all of them in the span of like a couple of months, so I guess you could be forgiven a little bit to mix them all up a little bit.
That's fair.
But yeah, I really like the introduction of Bucky's character quite a bit. So
actually, it's kind of the introduction. It's actually kind of the introduction of Winter Soldier. We actually already got introduced to Bucky back in the first Captain America movie.
Okay, I stand corrected. Because you think he's dead.
If you want to be technical, I mean, come on, I'm just breaking your balls, really.
Remember, I watched them in order. So,
you did watch them in, you did watch them in timeline order, which is, I've never actually watched them in timeline order. I've always just watched them in release order.
I might have to do that.
Oh, and one last thing that's a total tangent. When Captain America goes back to get whatever one he's supposed to get, and he ends up in Peggy's office, and he's looking at her through the glass with the slats of the blinds. I was screaming at the TV, "Peggy, look up! Peggy, look up!"
I always thought that was the moment that he kind of decided to himself, if this thing works and this whole time travel thing can be done again,
you knew
I'm
he was
definitely
thinking.
going back. I'm done with this bullshit. I'm done fighting Thanos and aliens. I'm going back to fighting Hitler. That shit was so much easier. Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts on the Winter Soldier?
I don't know, since I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, this is one of the ones that you haven't seen. I should slap you. Jeremy's actually rather far behind.
I have seen more MCU movies than
I mentioned this. I was like,
I forgot.
Okay, look.
No.
I have seen the ones that we've all talked about, except for calm the fuck down. The only one I haven't seen. This whole thing, I've been able to keep a conversation.
I
was worried because I haven't seen as many of these movies. I was kind of worried I'm going to be able to, because I said, like, this is going to be a conversation between you fucking guys, because I have not seen jack shit. I know what happens. It's not like it hasn't, like, already been ruined for me. I just haven't sat down and watched them.
We enjoy this moment, huh? Just a little bit. Come on, just for...
I don't know why everyone thinks I'm like this fucking encyclopedia of movies. I'm like, yes, there's things that I have not seen. I mean,
there's plenty of things I haven't seen.
Right.
I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to catch up on a lot of stuff either that I haven't seen or that I haven't seen in a long, long, long time, and I may as well be watching it for the first time anyway.
That's why I'm rewatching Doctor Who. I'm like, I haven't probably watched that since fucking.
Is that movie through TV? I've heard of it, and I know it's something about a blue box.
Yes, it's TV. It's on HBO Max. Actually, it's all on there. So now, because I saw 5. Wow, hold on. I saw 9, 10, most of 11. I didn't see 12 or 13 now, so I'm like 2 whole doctors behind. So that's why I was like, well, fuck. I have nothing to watch it on. And then I was like, oh, it's all on here. Well, I'll just start from the beginning again. Not the actual beginning. Beginning, it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff, whatever.
Was it produced all in Britain?
Yes, it's a British TV show.
I love British production stuff, so I might check it out.
If you like wild fucking time and space travel.
I love Doctor Strange.
Well, that's just time. This is time and space. Well, I guess he is kind of time and space.
Doctor Strange, by the way, was my number 6 movie. It didn't make the list.
I guess technically Deadpool since I honorable mentioned him.
Well, while we're talking about what's next on your list, Miss Cora, Why don't we go on with what your
Oh.
favorite Marvel movie is?
Well, it's actually a trilogy. Because I just can't pick. It's the original 3 X-Men movies all together in one. X-Men from 2000, X-Men United from 2003, and X-Men Last Stand from 2006.
Nice.
So it's them all together. I loved these when they came out. Huge Wolverine fan. Wolverine fan. Part of it is
Thank
Hugh
you.
Jackman is sexy as fuck. But
Do you just want to do my review for me? Because damn, she's taking the words out of my mouth.
so basically, I'm a huge basically huge Wolverine fan, and when this first was advertised and they said Hugh Jackman was in it, I was all in. And fell in love with it. Couldn't wait. Like you guys were with the MCU movies, I could not wait for the second and the third one to come out. That was a long wait. Huge Patrick Stewart fan because my mom, was in love with him from TNG growing up. And so Ian McKellen. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Love these movies. That's why I'm so nervous about them kind of redoing X-Men, because these are so near and dear to my heart. But together, all three, the trilogy, because they kind of go all hand in hand, and they kind of open the door to all the subsequent Wolverine movies, which are fucking fantastic. You can't go wrong with anything Wolverine, and everybody else was awesome to boot. So there you go. My number one is all three of the original X-Men movies.
Jeremy, you love this shit. Tell us about him.
I do, in fact, love this shit. Again, another nostalgic one from like when I was a kid. I watched same thing. I watched these. I think I watched the first two like on those ancient devices called a VHS and a VCR player. Yes, I'm actually that old, kind of. I think I watched them like with a friend, and I remember because I'm saying that like I specifically remember watching 3 in a movie theater, and I thought it was wicked. I mean, yeah, I could talk everyone's ear off about fucking Hugh Jackman all day, because again, who better to fucking play this character? And he wasn't even supposed to be there. Like, wasn't he just kind of cast at the last fucking minute?
I don't know,
Like,
but it was better that he was cast than anybody else.
Yeah, I think he
almost
was
more pivotal than Tony Stark being cast by Hugh Jackman.
Wait, what?
Tony Stark was Robert Downey Jr.
I was like, wait.
Sorry, Robert Downey Jr. being cast. Hugh Jackman
you just
being
floored
cast
me there for a second. I
Wolverine.
saw Hugh Jackman in the fucking Iron Man suit. I was like, huh? Wait,
I'm all
what?
over the place. But you know what I'm
All
getting at. I think
I'm here for
Hugh
it.
Jackman being Wolverine is way
I'm
more.
saying he ran with that shit. I love it.
And when he finally died, oh my god, the journey
Fucking
you go from
spoilers.
X-Men to the scene where Wolverine dies in the last of the movies he's in. What
you
an
just want-
amazing character.
You just want to do my review of my last one? Because I think we've already ruined
I don't
I think
know
we've
what
already
your
ruined what my number. Oh, we already ruined what my number one is now.
Frank, I think I fucked the show up tonight.
Even shit.
Nah, we're only about an
It's
hour over
fine.
what I wanted to do already. That's okay.
You're right. Marvel is a lot of discussion. It brings up a lot of
Marvel is a
discussion.
lot. There's a lot to talk about in this whole franchise.
Um,
Especially now that it's all kind of under the same umbrella. There's a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know. I think what I was saying I was like if you look at the way he was, how, like his muscle tone and shit, like he doesn't look. I mean, you look at him in like Bell Wolverine or like fucking Logan and shit like that. He's not as fucking like just ripped as shit. He kind of looks like he packed on the muscle and like in a quick time. But then yeah, like you said, over the course of the fucking movies, man, he fucking ran with that. And again, seeing all these mutants and all that shit, and I thought again as a kid, I thought it was the coolest fucking thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, despite the success of some stuff like Christopher Reeve's Superman and the first 2 Tim Burton Batman films, the other 2 we just kind of don't talk about. Despite that, comic book movies had still not found solid footing at this point. And when the first X-Men movie came out, people were like, "Holy shit, this is how you put it together." So we owe a great deal to Bryan Singer for
Did
bringing
you get teased by people for liking it too? Because I remember my ex-husband and I loved it, and we talked about it with friends and stuff.
No,
and they were like, "That's just stupid." And I'm like, "You're missing out on amazing shit."
This series of movie turned everybody into comic book nerds.
Well, I'm just saying, when it first came out, it seemed like people that weren't hyped about it unless they were already reading the comics.
No, this series of movie turned everybody into comic book nerds. It's like it used to be like when I was a kid, when I was young growing up, and I read comic books. I mean, it wasn't like my life. I played a lot of baseball and stuff like that, but I liked comic books. But the kids were really hardcore into it. I mean, most people just thought they were nerds, that they were kind of geeks.
Yeah.
This X-Men in particular, and this trilogy right here in particular, turned everybody into a comic book nerd. All of a sudden, people realize that, hey, wait a minute, these stories are a lot richer than just like the stuff that we see framed in the boxes in the comic book. These are some really kick-ass stories, and all of a sudden, everybody started delving into the lore of the X-Men and various different kind of comic book characters, because this movie made everybody really get into all that shit. So this movie turned everybody into a nerd. Do you think MCU would have happened?
What's that? If these hadn't have done so? Do you think the MCU, everything would have come out if these movies hadn't done well?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Can I look? One of my favorite little bits from a comedy routine is from Chris Hardwick when he talks, because he's like one of the biggest fucking like nerds out there too.
Yeah, doesn't he do that show for The Walking Dead after the show?
Yeah,
The Talking Dead. Yeah. But I'm like, I mean, I listened. I knew he was a stand-up comic too, and he was, that guy in fucking House of a Thousand Corpses, Dr. Satan. That guy. He one of my favorite fucking little bits of his is he mentions that. I think it's, hold on, I was trying to look it up. Yeah, it's called Nerds Make the World Go Round. And he, like, the line he says, he's like, look, when I was like growing up, he's like, this was not something you wanted to publicly admit. He's like, I would get fucking stuff in the trash cans and shit like that. He's like, but now, today, fucking nerds run the world. And like, even the redneckiest of all rednecks has a fucking smartphone. Nerds make all the shiny stuff that distract the mouth breathers. I'm like, right. Now it's like, that's one of my favorite lines. Nerds make all the shiny things that distract the mouth breathers. Like, that's fucking true. Now it's a cool thing. Now it's the hip thing to be into. And I'm like, yeah, but I was doing that before. Fuck you. I was into all this shit before it was cool to be into it. Look, yeah. I don't know.
X-Men by far ushered in the modern comic book stuff that we see today. I mean, X-Men beget Spider-Man. Spider-Man leads into the MCU. MCU eventually led into Warner Brothers getting off their asses and starting their own DC thing. I mean, the comic book movies, the modern comic book movie started right here with X-Men.
Dark Knight.
So it was a big risk for them to even make these then.
You know what? It really was. I think people forget that it was a huge risk to make a blockbuster movie and to put this kind of a budget together for a movie like X-Men that you didn't even know was going to go well. And then to top it off, I mean, a lot of the hardcore comic book guys, they were looking at Hugh Jackman like, Hugh Jackman's going to make a terrible Wolverine. Wolverine's supposed to be like 4'8", and he's supposed to be this tiny little guy with the claws that just walks around beting everybody up. To have this,
basically Captain America before the serum.
Yeah, so it's like no. Wolverine in the comic books is like a 5 foot tall kind of average guy who's kind of stocky, but he has the claws, because Wolverines themselves, the animals, are kind of tiny. Mm-hmm. So that's what the Wolverine character in the comics was based on. Yeah, it's more about about the character being very vicious, very aggressive, very antagonistic, always wanting to fight, more than about him being tall. So when they cast this 6'5" gorgeous Australian guy to play Wolverine, they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't fit the Wolverine that we've known from the comics at all. And then of course the movie comes out, everybody goes ape shit because he by far steals the show. You add in Patrick Stewart, who played, I mean, honestly, at that point, who else could have played Professor X?
Professor X.
And then just everything else that goes so right. And you caught lightning in a bottle, and that ushered in the modern comic book age of films.
And you got to give that little quip to fucking, who was it? Cyclops, I bet. He's like, when they finally get the suits on, and then he's like, what'd you expect, dude? You went like yellow and blue spandex. I'm like,
yellow spandex. Yeah, it was nice. Throws a nice little Easter egg to the fans for us to giggle on.
And
right before.
He fucking looks at him like, asshole. I'm like, right. Right.
Yeah, and then I mean,
No,
like,
And
that was
Halle
awesome.
Berry. I mean, I was so impressed with her because she wasn't really known for. I don't know. She just impressed
She
me.
was
This
in
I was.
that Bond movie, right? Like in the late 90s.
I just was surprised
it
by
was
her
right,
casting
right
a great
around.
deal.
It was right around then. I think she was in one of the Bond movies.
Or, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it might have been. You're right.
I
Early
just was
2000s.
surprised by her, but she did really well. I mean, really well.
But yeah, I mean, this
So.
is definitely the franchise that kicked off the modern
Oh,
comic book movie craze.
oh. Speaking of Halle Berry, actually, we don't talk about that Catwoman movie.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Catwoman
Ooh,
movie.
Oh, that was
talks about-
total shit.
Nobody talks about that. Nobody
Total
talks
shit.
about that one.
Okay.
Woo! That one hurt.
Especially when she's like in the suit, she goes meow. It's like, shut up.
I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer can do it, but I'm sorry, Halle. It doesn't. It's not the same. Please stop.
It worked
really
out.
her
Tim
fault,
Burton.
probably.
It worked out that second movie that Tim Burton ran, but yeah, after that, it just didn't go very well at all. But okay, so now I'm just gonna let Jeremy talk about mine and his number one.
Oh, we really. Damn it! All right.
I mean, if we were going to go like the maybe not the non-Marvel, but any Marvel character,
MCU.
it was gonna have to be this.
Oh. Oh yeah. All right. Well, fine. I've been sitting here holding these for long enough, and I won't get them out my fucking hand. But obviously, my fucking number one would be fucking Logan. Sitting here holding on to those pens for a while. Ow. Because I was glad Cora said the X-Men movies to kind of start it up, like, because going into mine and obviously Frank's now, what better way to end cap that with fucking Logan? I mean, I don't even know if I could say. I mean, what was that, like 2017? I can't even tell you how excited I don't know. There was just something. I just saw a trailer and I watched that trailer like I don't know how many times. I was so goddamn ready for it. I'm like, it's the old man Logan storyline, kind of. It's kind of its own thing, but like, we're tying up Hugh Jackman's thing. I'm like, I knew this was him and Patrick Stewart. Like, this was their last outing. And someone who reviewed it watched like that. He was talking about the scene where they're all at the dinner with the family. He's like, I like this because it seems almost like they're just genuinely really happy and just reminiscing and talking about this, like they, talking about the history they've had together. I'm like, yeah, it feels nice. And obviously, you know what? That's another scene that damn near just, when the fucking evil Logan comes in there and kills Professor X, that was not fucking okay, man. I mean, when he picks him up and he tells him it wasn't me. I was like, oh god, there's a lot of emotion in this fucking movie. But
Cora, have you had the absolute pleasure of seeing this movie?
I saw it opening week. I'm a big Wolverine fan, so
Dude,
you're talking.
Oh wait. I'm sorry, hold on. Speaking of theaters, and this is why Frank says this. Having a theater experience, can I tell you something that happened when I saw it in theaters? Right at the fucking end, like when he just fucking injects himself with that fucking serum, and then he goes absolute ape shit, and like just flies to the fucking air, and he's taking motherfuckers out. He does that fucking scream. There was a fucking black lady right next to me who went, yeah, there he is. Like, oh, she was so ready for it.
Like she was at a rock concert.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, there he is. I'm like, right. I looked at her, I'm like, hell yeah. Right. It was funny. He was like 3 or 4 seats down. She was right there with me. I didn't want to like, be too loud, but oh no. It was on.
Nice.
Yeah. Cora, what do you think about this movie?
I fucking loved it. And anything with Wolverine is gold for me. X-Men steal my heart away, even over anything MCU. So, enough said there.
Yeah, this movie was a masterclass in film. Honestly, when the year this movie was released, there was a lot of blowback on the Academy for not nominating this as for Best Picture. Not a lot of people.
They don't take comic book movies seriously.
That's one of the things they had said, that they're kind of genrecist. There was a word that was kind of coined around all this, is that they only really want the artsy fartsy movies to win Best Picture, but they were just like, dude, this is the best movie that got made that year, flat out, hands down. Even people who are like into the artsy fartsy stuff and not into comic book movies are like, holy shit, this movie is very deep. It's not a typical comic book movie. It is like, we've talked a lot in The Mandalorian, Jeremy and I, about about how it is kind of this Old West gunslinger kind of feel. That's what the Old Man Logan storyline is about, and that's what heavily inspired this movie, is the end of the life of this superhero. He's gone through all the stuff. He's fought bad guys.
Well, he's the end of the X-Men. He's the last one to live.
And he is the last superhero alive. Well, he's the last superhero. Maybe not the last mutant, but definitely the last superhero alive. So, I mean, they've gone through all this stuff together, and it's just like the line has got to end, even for the good guys.
Well, doesn't Laura kind of count, even though she has the powers,
like all the kids, or all the other kids, the mutant kids had like powers too.
Yeah, I mean, so
they're not developed into They're not developed into heroes, though. They just have powers.
It's passing the torch, I think.
Yeah,
that's the.
Do you think that they'll include Laura and some of these kids in the X-Men news stuff that they do?
I fucking hope so.
No, they're not.
Dude, I want to see X-23. Come on, when she was older, she was in like her mid-20s, like in the show and the animated. Dude, when she was in her prime, woo!
I'm not saying I wouldn't like to see the X-23. I'm not saying I wouldn't like to see James McAvoy come back and play a younger, Professor X. I just think that Kevin Feige is not going to want to go back to that. He's not going to want to go back.
Fuck you, Kevin Feige.
No, he's got a good reason. He wants to create something fresh and new, and I think that's why he's taking.
But we don't need fresh and new. This is like gold by itself, even though it's older.
We need fresh and new, because as good as the Fox X-Men stuff was in spots, it was a chaotic fucking mess as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like continuity schmontinuity. It's like you have no idea who the fuck is a good guy, a bad guy, up, down, old, young. And I mean, it got to the point where, and this is one of the reasons why I've kind of questioned DC, is they want to get like 3 different universes going of Batman. I'm like, no. You got to get one right before you can go on to a second one. And that was the problem with Fox, is they thought they could kind of retcon things as they go. And I was like, they really needed to have some continuity. But yeah, I'm fully ready for Kevin Feige to actually establish his own universe. Maybe he might cast some of the same people. I doubt it. There's a rumor that's been floating around for a while that Kevin Feige actually met with James McAvoy. I don't know if that meeting was just to stir the pot, or if he was serious about maybe saying, hey, why don't you come back and play my version of Professor X? I don't know. There's rumors that he's also talked to Michael Fassbender about maybe coming back and playing Magneto. I don't know. I personally, whatever he's going to do, it's going to be a complete reboot of this entire thing, and he's going to start it fresh in this universe. I don't think he's going to bring any of that stuff in, and he shouldn't. But like I said, that continuity-wise, that entire franchise that Fox put out there was a train wreck. Now they hit gold in a couple of movies. The first couple X-Men movies were really good. The third one was good. It wasn't great. Days of Future Past was fantastic, but all those other movies that came out after the third X-Men were just terrible. It's like Dark Phoenix. Comic book fans hate that movie. Apocalypse. Comic book fans hate that movie. It's like they look at it and say it is terrible. It is just not good.
But how much do the filmmakers care about what the comic book fans like?
Well, Kevin Feige does.
Okay.
Because comic book fans, by and large, have loved the MCU, but he's also never pretended that he was gonna do a direct adaptation. He made it very clear from the very beginning what his visions were, what his goals were, everything he wanted to do. So without giving away any spoilers for some of the stuff that was coming story-wise, he made it very clear what his intentions were with these characters. And I think
if he dies, what happens?
If Kevin Feige dies?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a pretty young, healthy guy. Hopefully he won't go anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
But there's a lot of people involved. Honestly, if he were to quit or just go away right now, I would imagine that probably John Favreau is the guy that could step into that role.
So I was going to say,
because he cares very deeply about all these characters.
Yeah, like someone who's passionate about this actually puts that much effort into, like I said, even just The Mandalorian, and obviously with all this shit with the MCU. This is someone who cares about this.
Even though I think Jon Favreau right now is kind of concentrating on the Star Wars stuff that he's building, The Mandalorian, stuff like that. I think he's also producing the Obi-Wan series. I think he's really balls deep into the Star Wars stuff right now. But if Kevin Feige were just up and retired tomorrow, I think they'd probably go to him and say, "Hey, you want to step over and run all this Marvel stuff for us?" And he'd probably do it. I mean, he directed the first 2 Iron Man movies, so and that was a huge way to start this entire franchise. And he really does care about how this franchise progresses. So I think he'd be the likely candidate.
Okay.
But I mean,
I just don't want them to change a lot of the X-Men lore, I guess.
Well,
that was the 3 movies.
Well, don't they poke fun at that in Logan, where he picked up the comic book? He's like, yeah, I mean, like a third of this shit actually happened. This book down. I'm like, at least you can make fun of it.
Yeah. But I mean, they're going to do exactly what they've done with the MC, what they've done with the Marvel stuff to this point. They're going to take certain things, certain characters, and they're going to craft a new universe around them, or they're going to find some way to fit them into the universe that exists. And I have confidence they're going to do it just fine.
Are you worried, Jeremy? Or are you excited about the new, X-Men life force that may come from this?
Well, if we see, like I said, I know Logan ended off with like all the kids making it out to the fucking border, along with Laura. So I'm like, well, if that's where we go, I'm fine with that. Like I said,
What if they recast a different version of Wolverine with a stupid ass actor, though?
Look, I've sat here through 3 fucking incarnations of Spider-Man. I mean, I'm not saying Hugh Jackman can be replaced, because
all right.
I feel actually this should be a fucking topic. Either movies and/or actors that should not be touched, like with a character.
Thank you.
Know what I mean?
We need to do this.
I thought about that earlier today. I'm like, movies that they should not touch, or like a character specific, whatever. But I mean, I don't know, because when they redid fucking Freddy Krueger, I'm kind of like, yeah, but you're not Robert Englund, so I don't really care, and I'm not gonna watch your movie. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe I should have given it a chance, and if I still don't like it, I still don't like it. I mean, I don't know. I would give it a chance. I'd be excited. It's got to happen at some point.
Well, maybe in a couple weeks we can talk remakes. That's certainly a hot topic.
Yeah.
But look, we have gone about, at least an hour over what I anticipated going on for tonight. But thank all of you guys for sticking around. Lots of really cool people in the chat. Actually, a couple of new names. Danny MT stopped in. I think it's probably the first time I've seen Danny MT in the chat of one of my streams ever. That's really cool. Nightwatch popped in for a minute. He actually had a stream at 8 o'clock. He's also got us on this Twitter thing that we definitely need to catch up on. I'm already 2 videos behind on that. So we'll probably be putting out some other videos here and there. Randy Viper, what's going on to you, my man? Bullsy was in here for a minute. Penny the Pooh popped in for the first time. What's going on with you?
TSS has been here through the whole fucking thing, I think.
TSS has been here. My son was in here for the first little bit. So to all of you guys who were in here, who else was in here that I had never seen here before?
Wandy briefly, Mathis Monroe.
Mathis Monroe is the one I was thinking of that was here. It's the first time I've seen that name in the chat. So thank you guys for popping in. Don't forget to support us on... Sleppy was in here, that's right. Sleppy on crack in here talking all kinds of crazy shit about his favorite Marvel movie is Batman.
Yes.
Sleppy needs help, everybody. Pray for Sleppy, he needs help. But thanks to all you guys for coming around. We appreciate it. Support us on Patreon, get a chance to win $25 a month in free movie tickets. Jeremy, Cora, any thoughts on our way out?
No. I like Jeremy's idea about doing that as an episode of a show, though. And we'll see you next Monday on Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Correct?
I'm gonna hit you with one more Wakanda forever.
Maybe they'll do more. Maybe they'll do something with Wakanda in Winter Soldier. In episode 5 or 6.
The Dora Milaje is out there chasing down Zemo, so maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe. But thanks all you guys for checking us out on a very, very long show. But then again, that's what happens when you start talking about Marvel movies. And we will see you guys on Monday for episode, what is it? Episode 6?
5.
7. Episode 5.